Something like that, right?
No.
Who's that? Is that Shakespeare? I feel like that's Shakespeare.
It's better to have
Love
and
and to
lost
have lost than never to have loved before.
Loved at all. I think.
Loved at all,
Yeah.
right? Diba?
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing to have something and lose it rather than not have it in the very first place.
Yeah, that means
not
that
to experience it.
that means you're alive.
Yeah.
That means that you have lived, and then
Yeah. Your life is
like for example death, right?
kinda
The opportunity to die is a beautiful thing because that
Yeah.
means you've lived. A lot of people out there, unborn people, would die to be given a chance to die because they never lived at all, right? So that's a beautiful thing too, to be given a chance to exist and eventually die, right? And the more heartache there is of dying, that means you loved fully, you loved
Yeah.
deeply,
Yeah.
and you don't want to go, but imagine the opportunity you had to be alive,
Yeah.
to love and be loved, right?
Yeah.
And to have a fleeting moment in the grand scheme of things to exist, right? And you're gonna go back today to that state before you were born. That's what you're going. That's where you're going. Because somebody was, I don't know if we talked about this before. Somebody was once asked, "Unsa man ay
What do you
paminaw?"
think it's what's after death?
Unsa man ay- how do you feel when you're dead? Ang
Yeah.
tubagan na is, remember the time before you were
were
born? That's how it feels like. That's how it feels like to die. It is now 9:23. Ga-warm up lang ni ani sa atong mga utok kaya ang atong utok mo ni kango pa tungod sa
Yeah.
So tungod sa kaning chaotic sa atong kabuntagon. But Justin, kagahapon we had a special guest in Jude Gitamundo, right?
Right. We had Jude Gutamundok and
And,
two cast members from his upcoming
Derek
stage play.
and Yesha.
Yep.
And the stage play is called
Hopeless Romantics Incorporated.
Hopeless Romantics Incorporated. But
Yeah.
we were right smack in the middle of a beautiful conversation. Kay kanay mong si Filmar og si
Oh my God, social media is going crazy.
Kinsa
Ito na.
kito? Filmar and Andy.
Yeah.
Andy Eigenman and I third party.
Party!
Kasi ano niya?
Pernilia.
Pernilia.
Swedish.
The Swedish surfer.
Apparently, she's the
Dudette.
ninang of the children as well.
Wow, so that's how close we were.
They were. We were. Apil man ta. Apil man ta sa
Feeling
sa
apil man ta.
conversation. Apil man.
Mao lagi na lagi.
Lampot ta.
Ana ginasa nga. Kana bitong if you
You
know
feel like you have a stake in it.
if you know somebody from his work and not from meeting them. For example, si Jude.
Yeah.
I feel like I've known him for such a long time.
I know. That's why yesterday you were like, I can't believe this is kind of like the first time I'm actually meeting him.
Yeah.
I feel like I've known him.
Yeah.
And why is that? Well, you mentioned something to me yesterday.
Because I've listened to all of his songs.
All of his work.
Many
You've
of
played his works
and
over
I
the years.
loved many of his songs too, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like having a conversation with him in your head at least, right? Naitabo ni nako kadaghan, Justin.
Yeah, to you.
Nga even to other people too. Nga you're always on social media. They listen to you all the time on the radio, right?
They start their day with you, basically.
And then when they finally meet you, they think they know you because they know so much about you.
in that sense.
Right? Because they hear you on the radio. So mo tinatabo na ko ni Jude nga. I feel like I've spoken to him many times.
Yeah. Mao nang giingon sa ni Sir Jude na there's really a personal connection, and the root of everything that he does, or like the root of art really, is to connect with an audience. Is that I think he's mentioned something about like the genuine human connection or human experience. And it's nice how we're able to do that through different platforms.
Correct, yeah.
Mao na kanang diri sa TMC, especially in Tops Media Center, we're really like our advocacy is really to push homegrown talent to the world.
Yeah, correct.
Because we believe that, there's just so much potential, and it's a beautiful way to connect with our roots, connect with everyone.
Correct, yeah.
Mona, a lot of us, it felt weird. Like we met Sir Jude for the first time yesterday. It feels like we know him because we play his songs all the time. We relate to his music. But what was ironic and funny for me, guys, if you watch our episode, by the way, that's Tops Media Center on YouTube.
Yeah, I
Daghan
know.
kaayo ni Joy nato sa conversations.
Thank you, guys.
Even on our live on Facebook.
I know, right?
I'm really glad to see all your comments. Keep them coming. Si Sir Jude and the rest of the cast members, their songs, his songs rather, are very hurtful. They're full
Hurtful.
of pain.
What do you mean by hurtful?
Kanang murag maoy kayo
Mga
ba?
sakit, mga maoy kayo
Oo.
tanan.
Pero yung personality is very jolly.
I know, right?
So I said, Sir Jude, I don't know how you were able to pull all of that out of you.
Murag tawag lang cognitive dissonance, di ba? Imong
Ah.
nakitaan dili maoy mong gibati, di ba?
Yeah.
Murag na ba? Murag, may na. We're all actually a bundle of contradictions, right? Kita, as human beings,
We're a
right?
bundle of contradictions. I love
kato,
that.
si Sir Jude, murag, like he was talking about heartbreak, and
And he laughs about it,
yeah.
and all of them laugh about it. Magiging kung iba yung mga songs, mga sakit kayo, no?
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness.
But I think that's why he's a songwriter, because if he can write about it, he can certainly laugh about it. You know what I mean, right? Because if you're so broken that you're debilitated, that you're paralyzed, and you can't do anything about the brokenness, but he is able to rise above the brokenness and be able to look back at it and write about it, because writing about something is actually kind of a kind of looking back at it, trying to relive the moment, right? And if it's such a heartbreak for you that you can't relive it, then you can't write it. You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
So I think it's part of his demeanor. It's part of his operating system. Gajali gud siya nga klaseng pagkatao, di ba?
And I think maybe it also helps for a lot of artists or songwriters to not maybe let your emotions get the best of you. As you mentioned, you become more productive when you can write about different experiences, and maybe it makes you like more open to writing about anything at all,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Kaysa, I can imagine if pirmi lang sad gid ka maoy, yeah, you'd be able to write a lot of maoy works, pero I don't know, maybe it would take a toll on you as a person, pod. So I'm glad to see nga. It was funny to see. Funny good for me to see nga. He was very jolly, and it was a good vibe. So I hope you guys enjoyed our interview yesterday. Don't forget, on this Saturday, I think that's the 15th. Yeah. Let me see.
Kating sa Raintree Mall?
Yes, they've got an event at Raintree Mall. So the cast of Hopeless Romantics Incorporated will be having live performances. You'll get to meet them,
Okay.
and they'll also give you guys give us a sneak peek of their upcoming stage play on the 21st to the 23rd, right? But on Saturday, that's at Kui, Raintree Mall at 6 p.m. They're also gonna give out discounts for their tickets. So if you guys want to get tickets at a cheaper price, go check them out this Saturday. Join them.
What's the event called again?
It's just like a sneak peek.
Oh, no, what the actual event? What is it called?
Hopeless Romantics Incorporated.
Hopeless Romantics
Yeah.
Incorporated. I always stumble with the title because it's so familiar.
Yeah.
But it's not. You know, like it's usually when I think about it, I think Dead Poet Society and Sergeant Lonely Pepper's Heart Club, right? Because these are the other one's a movie, the other one is a song from the Beatles, right? And this is what's it called again?
Hopeless Romantics
Hopeless
Incorporated.
Romantics Incorporated, happening this 21st until the 23rd, right? But a week before that, we also have a great big event happening here at the event space at Tops. I'm talking about Arnel Pineda Journey to Tops.
my
That's going to be a lot of fun, and
goodness.
you can get your tickets. But I was telling everybody yesterday. I'm telling you again. Don't be a
Last minute.
a last minute person, man. I mean, give me a break, right? I mean, like
I'm guilty of that.
because kadaghanan sa mga lalaki diha, myself included,
Myself.
maghuwat og last minute ba nga
Okay.
kani bitong dili pa mo reserve og dinner table, dili pa papadog ticket kay
Nara na.
Oy ay pag binuwang diha kay daghan kaayong mga events diri sa Cebu nga na sold out kani si Arnel Pineda usa ni sa mga events nga dali ra kayo na sold out. So if I were you,
Try your best.
If you're smart, this is actually hitting two birds with one stone. You're not only going to be able to see the frontman of Journey, Arnel Pineda, live on Valentine's freaking Day, you're also going to be here at Tops. Just being at Tops is an event in and of itself.
In itself.
Pun ano mo gamay cherry on Tops, which is Arnel Pineda, right?
Yeah, that's
So
right.
that-
What a great way to spend Valentine's Day with your loved
win,
ones.
a double win for you. So if you want to be in her good side, please do yourself a big ass favor, okay?
and make the reservation. I mean,
It's available at Montebello Villa Hotel, okay, and at Curate, you know where Curate is, or at the Dean and DeLuca. Have you ever been to Dean?
not yet. Nighty Park.
You should. We should go there.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and you can get your tickets there also, and we're gonna make the tickets more available widely. We're gonna have more outlets for you guys to be able to score your tickets a lot quicker because it's getting dangerously close, right?
Yeah.
To Feb 14.
So stay tuned.
And speaking of Feb 14,
Yeah.
yes? Yeah, ako dali. Kinsa? Nami bisita ko no.
Ooh.
Hala. Natay bisita. Anyway, so speaking of Valentine's Day,
Balintungs.
speaking of Valentine's Day,
Balintums
we were
Day.
we were cut short yesterday, and we want to talk about it again. About
Oh yeah.
is it okay for your
Is it okay for your partner to have a best friend?
bester than you?
Yeah, or
Muna siya, di ba?
yeah,
Bester than you.
That's our question for Onisay Tasugbo,
yeah.
guys. Mauna siya, we really wanted to get your input on this topic. Kay daghan kay ni react even
Yeah.
on our Facebook
Correct,
live. A lot of people so far, even though we had little time to talk about it, a
Yeah.
lot of people gave their opinion. So unsa man gyud inyong opinion ana, guys?
Tell everybody about what we talked about, because I think you had a very strong opinion about it. Of course, it stems from this conversation,
personal
this
beliefs and-
topic stems from the fact that katong si Andy Eigenman and si Philmar, is that
Yeah.
his name? Philmar.
Yeah, Philmar.
Philmar supposedly broke up, right? Because of their or Philmar's best friend, right? Katong
Yeah.
Swedish surfer in Siargao, right? So that's why we're talking about this now, because everybody is talking about how important or how a best friend should play a role in one's life, especially if you have a partner already. And the best friend is bester than you. Meaning to say, nga, you are with the person romantically, but you have a best friend, right? And dili lang nato define ang gender niya. It's possible that you're both women and you
And then you have a different sexual orientation.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
then
yeah. So
ana.
it might
So ang
confuse
point na lang ani is can you have a best friend whilst being in a relationship? What
Yeah.
do you guys think? Is
Can
that
you-
is did I
can
phrase it
you
right?
have a best friend when you're in another relationship? You're when
When you're in a when you have a romantic
yeah. Can you have a
rela-
best friend even if you have a romantic relationship with somebody else,
Okay.
right? And
That's
the
great.
best friend is not necessarily your romantic
Yes.
relationship, your romantic partner, right? So imuhang take Anna Justin. Can you remind everybody what it was? Right?
My take on that. So personally, I disagree. I don't think it's okay for anyone in a romantic relationship to have a best friend. And it might seem like it's a little bit extreme. And I would just like to state, first of all, that I believe, manggod, na human relationships, as mentioned by Sir Jude yesterday, are quite fluid. But the nature of the way we act is that we categorize relationships. And I'd also like to correct myself yesterday when I mentioned that, we rank. Because rank does sound like a very, like, what's the word? It's more like limiting siya nga term.
yeah.
Kaya when you say rank, you are, you are, it
Judgy or kay ba? Judgy or kay? Judgy or kay? You're
ranking
judging.
has to do man good with someone is on top, someone is
Yeah, yeah,
inferior,
yeah,
superior,
yeah,
and the
yeah,
like.
yeah.
So maybe compared to ranking, I would rather say we what do you call this? We categorize different relationships. That's the nature of who we are as human beings. We don't feel the same way for everyone, and in the same way, our titles or the way that we refer to people can never be the same,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
From Exhibit A, the way that you feel for your parents will never be the same way that you feel for a best friend. The way that you feel for someone that you've probably known for 10 years will not necessarily be the same, or the way that you react to that person will not be the same with someone that you known for a shorter period of time. So with that, I would disagree that it's okay to have a best friend while you're in a romantic relationship, because I also recognize the importance of when you categorize relationships in your life, you assign, I know it sounds like very transactional when you say titles, but with titles come expectations. And I think that categorizing, setting titles means setting boundaries, which everyone should have in relationships. And the biggest peril and the problem, I believe, comes when di ka magklaro kung kinsa imo best friend, di ka magklaro kung kinsa imo ang partner. Kaya you assign that title of a best friend title to someone else other than your partner. So you're giving someone else, you're empowering them, giving them the opportunity to best friend privileges, which which is
That sounds funny, man.
it sounds funny, but
That sounds
that's
funny.
true. Meaning the expectation that you have from them, the time that you expect to spend with them,
Best friend
and
privileges.
this is regardless of gender, huh? This is regardless of gender. I'll give you an example why in a bit. So instead of making your spouse or your partner, or your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your best friend, you're assigning that title to a different person, which could be a childhood friend, whoever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Basta a different person. Karon, because that title is given to a different person, ang privilege is also given to a different person. Now, this person feels like that they have a stake, or they have murag rights they have certain rights and that can interfere with the rights of you and your partner.
So let me just wrap it right there. I think you're creating a story for yourself, man, because you have all these stories. You have rights. Who gave him or her that right? You know,
you
what I mean?
did. Kay social expectations,
So
magod boundaries.
again, it goes back to the story narrative, right? You mentioned that 10 years. You mentioned 10 years. You mentioned time. So time spent with a person actually is part of the dynamics of a relationship. So ang atong example magod ng hisgutan kagahapon is naana kay best friend, dugay na kaya nga
Mas
best friend
una
mo,
pa.
mas una pa nimo pag human all of a sudden you get a
met someone
girlfriend,
new.
you get a boyfriend, you meet somebody new, pag human managdaayon mo, you're a couple, right? But you just bago rin ka ni butho sa iyang kinabuhi, this best friend has been around with him or her for a long time, right? So kanang imuhang title sa tao, I think if you have to label things, if you have to give them titles, if you have to give them names, mo na problema na agad kung butangan mo label, butangan mo butang kay, then they're stuck to that description. Then they're the best friend. Then they're the this. Then, but like Jude said, relationships are fluid.
Yeah.
You don't know,
And labels change over time
best
too.
friends ta karon baog mo basi maglagot ko nimo basi frenemy ka na ko,
Enemy
diba?
ka.
You don't know.
That's
So
true.
that's really the problem with labeling, attaching things, attaching names to things. Anyway, back to the time thing. I think importante kayo na nga ang panahon nga gi-spend mo sa imong kuyog, sa imong partner, sa imong best friend, sa imong partner means a lot, holds a lot of weight. So, unsa man nimo pagbahig ana ron kuno Justin kuno kung
Okay.
kung ang tao best friends na niya before you were born, meaning to say physically born, before
Yeah.
ka tao sa kalibutan, right? So this person has been with that person for 20, 30 years, right? For example. Pwede guys sila nag-uuyab sila itong una. Yeah, best friends na karon, di ba? Yeah. You show up. So imo silang you're gonna tell him to cut off the relationship with a person or lay low on the relationship or don't have don't be her best friend or his best friend because you came along. I think that's really unfair.
I feel like it's not unfair.
Okay.
For me, it's fair. The concept of demoting or the concept of changing the dynamics of a relationship.
I'm just using demoting because you
Rank man.
because
I
you're
mentioned
ranking
rank
them,
man.
so you're
Oo.
demoting them.
It's okay. It makes sense that way anyway.
Isakay lang ko sa imong narrative, sa imong story. Go
It
ahead.
makes sense that way anyway
okay.
to mention
Yeah,
demoting.
okay.
But I do think that, as Sir Jude mentioned, relationships are fluid.
Fluid, yeah.
And in such a way that when you find someone that is your partner, your romantic partner, naturally, and for me, the right way to do it, the morally right way to do it is mo change gyud na imuhang relationships with other people, with your friends.
Okay.
Mo change and expectations
Expectations,
with
okay.
other people. And why is that important? And it's regardless of gender, ha?
Okay.
It's also to prioritize because the truth is
Prioritize, okay.
I feel like effort and time, they're finite, and feelings are also finite. The way that you show love and effort, you can't do it to every single person in your life the same way, right? So in that sense, you prioritize, and for me, your romantic partner. And so the question there would be, so unsa man malahi imong behavior to your best friend? For me, yes, and your best friend should be understanding of that. Kay dili, if you wanted to have the same relationship with your best friend, they don't have a romantic partner. But if you want to give your
So mo na kuan black and white day siya dai imo dai.
in my perspective,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Kay, let's look at the example, ha. Let's look at na lang an example wherein you and your best friend are of the same gender. Kay maglisod man gud ta if may kung opposite sex ang gender dapat diginan. Okay, let's look at an example. You're a married man, for example, which is it's very hard for me to give an example that I can't freaking relate to, no?
Okay.
But example, you're a married man.
Okay.
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 You have a wife, and then
Okay.
you have this best friend, a guy that you've known for 30 years.
Yeah. Longer than you've known
Longer than you've known your wife.
partner,
Let's
yeah.
say you've only been married for like 5 years,
And
right?
you've only met her like a year ago, so
A
6
year,
years. 6
oh,
years.
6 years, mga anak. So then the question would pose, can this guy still be my best friend? And at the same time,
First of all, I don't think you can unbest friend a best friend.
Yes.
That's not possible.
Actually,
man.
I agree with that.
You can't.
Ah.
You can't say you're no longer my
best friend, huh?
So these are freaking labels that we give people because of their affinity to us because they've been around with us for such a long time, and that's what people around you, best friend, guni sila, diba? So these are social constructs, right?
Yeah. And maybe there's also a danger attached to the way that if you're too stringent on that,
Yeah.
kanang focus ra kay kanang
Yeah.
label.
Yeah.
But I'd like to also point out that the expectations of that friend that you've known for
yeah.
30 years, whether you like it or not, if you want to value your relationship with your
Yeah.
wife, you have to adjust
But
it.
both of them can be true, Justine. Both of
Yeah.
them can be true. You can value both.
Yeah.
What's
It's not one or the other.
why do we have to choose? Mo na siya, in case na ibuh mo ganong galalis mi din ni Justin. Ang akong
Aba.
isgutan diri kay si Andy ra gyud ni og si Filmar ra gyud.
Oh,
Mao ra
kana.
gyud ni siya nganong kay
Because the pretense man good with Andy and Filmar, katong gipahungaw ni Andy, if you look at her
Gipahungaw ni Andy.
Instagram stories, is her point lang yun
Okay,
is,
okay.
kaya according to her,
Okay.
her husband did not cheat on her daw. So,
Okay.
dili siya, it's not about that. Ang iyahang kasakitan or where she's coming from is that the fact that the ninang of her children, iyang best friend,
best friend kunuhay.
kanuhay,
Okay.
magsige daw sulsul ni Filmar whenever they fight nga dapat buwagan daw siya. And when they had the recent argument, they went out to get a matching tattoo. So
Katong 224, di ba?
what's the
224.
meaning ana?
Nakalimot ko basa.
To
Guys,
together forever,
something like that. Guys, please let us know what it means and join us in our conversation. Naami sa YouTube
Yes.
that's youtube.com/Tops Media Center. Okay, you can listen to us on 105.1 TMC. May bungkag niyo diha.
Yeah,
Daghang salamat sa inyong
guys.
pagpaminaw. I-text na pod mi. Atong i-announce ang atong text number, Justina. Kadyot lang, Justina.
Yeah.
Ang atong text number. Hold on, give me a second. Sorry.
We're using a new number this time, guys.
0962-746-3537. That's 0962-746-3537. Join us in our
Yeah.
conversation about is
Is it okay to have a best friend when you're in a romantic relationship?
Relationship with somebody
Also,
else, yeah.
katong mga nag-join nato sa Facebook, that's Tops Media Center.
Yeah.
Feel free to share our Facebook Live sa inyong mga group chats to your friends and family. Let them know, magchika-chika.
according to Junie Dumasis, kanang
Hi, Sir
224
Dumasis.
is today, tomorrow, forever.
Char. What the? Today, tomorrow, and forever.
Forever.
Okay.
So mo na siya, Justin. Mo nang gihisgot ani basig may buong sila na unsam ni nabuang ni kundo. Among gistoryaan kato rag yung si
224.
Filmar gyud og si
Andy
og yang
Eigenman.
Swedish nga best friend nga si Perlina
Pernilia.
nga surfer sa Siargao. So ang isgutan namo is okay ra ba nga naa kay best friend nga naa kay partner, a romantic partner. Ang kang Justin nga side is that kinanglan you have to set
Boundaries.
draw the line, right?
Yeah.
Kinanglan kutob ra ka diha, siya kutob ra sa diri. So naagi mga rules. So ang pangutana na ron, Justin, siguro another question is kinsa may gasulti, kinsa may gasuwat sa rules niya na.
Yeah.
Kung rules pasabot ana nga na kuan gyud na siya mura na siya og kaning himuan na lang na siguro og guidebook siguro or handbook siguro, di ba? Unsa magi
How can we determine what is truly right?
Unsa may balaod ana?
Labi
Asa
na
man
kung subjective.
naabay libro nga nagsuwat ana papareha sa
The
Biblia.
the good boyfriend, good girlfriend
pareha sa
guide.
Biblia nga ari na kutob ra diha, diri na kutob diha. So mo na siya nakalisod na kaning atong I think ang nakalisod sa imong idea, Justin, is you think there are imagined rules, imagined
Okay. So let's
distinctions, right?
Oh.
So ang imuhang distinction na naron is based on something that's not even organized yet. It's
Okay.
these are just mga social
Norms.
expectations,
Social norms.
social norms, mga balaod nga wala gisuwat kanang what's the term for that? Unwritten rules, right? Unwritten rules. So murag difficult kay siya i-enforce. Number one, number two, kanang personalidad, kanang relasyon sa usag-usa fluid man na, maglain-lain man na kada adlaw, di ba? In fact, the idea of the self is also very fluid. You're not that same person you once were. And nindot kitong gisulti ni Jude. We keep on coming back to Jude because he's a very smart person.
Yeah.
Ingon siya nga, actually it wasn't Jude, it was Derek who said this nga, mas nindot na nga naa kay mura og outside party kay may tabo magud when you're in a relationship, you're in a bubble. You don't know what the hell is going on outside.
You can be, ang term yung gigamit kay blinded.
You can be blinded.
Very important
by,
term.
By whatever it is that it's going on with you. So nagud kay nindot gyud nga naabay kana outsider bitaw.
Outside perspective.
Outsider gyud. Kana outsider, pasabutan na outsider is that wala siya labot ninyong duha pero kaila sila ninyo unya he can observe from a more objective perspective, especially since, for example, best friend na nimo siya. So the best friend will always have your well-being in mind. So kung mangutana si Philmar siguro sa advice sa iyang best friend, of course, bias gyud siya
sa
ni
idea
Philmar.
that she would want him to be well.
To be well, right? So importante sad nga ang babae sa nasay best friend, right?
So the question now then is, who do you assign that role to?
Wala.
Kanang ang question na ang problem na
I
is,
think
and must there be really a need for an outsider? Because I actually
i-assign na nimo, but the word is not
trust.
assign, right? Ang de facto nga best friend nimo is the friend that you've known for such a long period of time and you're comfortable with, nga who you've shared secrets.
if you have one.
If you have to assign it.
If you'd have to.
Yeah.
Pero then it would also, for me, that's contradictory to what you mentioned yesterday nga, katong imong giingon nga, you know what? Kung naa sila'y problema, dapat si Andy ug si Philmar can't they just, you mentioned it yesterday, you said, can't they just fix it on their own? Why must there be like, and I agree with that, especially in...
That statement actually has nothing to do with what I just said prior, because that statement stemmed from social media
posting,
social media behavior, because we were theorizing kani silang mga tawhana, they're just doing this for attention, right? So if they really sincerely wanted to solve their problems, they could have done it offline.
Okay,
and then announced whatever. In fact, I think
after na
siya. So this has nothing to do with what we're
no, because
talking about.
then that answers the question: is there really a need for a third party? Because I'm a firm believer that
actually no. There's no need for a relationship. There's no need for a third party. You don't need to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. There's no need for anything. We're just doing this because that's the norm, right? So there's no need for anything. Period. Okay.
Pero I think in my opinion, like if Derek was here again, I would actually disagree that you would really need a third party, an outside source to. I understand there are importances of looking or asking the advice of someone outside of the box, but I feel like in terms of romantic relationships, it does more harm than good, and in fact, it leads to like washing dirty laundry in public. Which in this case, if we're gonna be specific about Philmar, and my judgment of that is that it was wrong in the first place. I would never ever consider it right that Philmar went to a best friend and panghungaw all his problems to a best friend. For me, if you have problems with your partner, in this specific case alone, very narrow lang yun akong opinion. I will never see it as right, and I will always justify nga in the very first place sayop gyud nga iyang gipahungaw sa iyang best friend. Kaya ang problema nila ni Andy should just be
what's a best friend for?
There are boundaries. That's the problem there.
So lagi I understand you said, but unsa may boundaries na niya? Unsa man like who wrote the
book on that? Yeah.
So it's really personal. It's like
it's up to you lang.
Like personal.
And again,
so,
this whole conversation would be very different if you had different. For example, we also talked about like polygamous relationships. If you really
polyamory,
polyamory, if you believe in that, you will never agree with my opinions because my opinions are very much based on the solid idea that your partner should be your person.
But you agree that relationships and a person is fluid, right? So you agree with Jed. So that actually is in keeping with a gender spectrum and sexual orientation, because it's a spectrum, it's a fluid, right?
It is fluid.
And
your expectations and boundaries are also fluid.
If you did you say you agree that that it what did you say again? Can you repeat that, please?
That they're fluid. Relationships are fluid.
No. What did you say? That's what I said.
Boundaries are fluid.
The boundaries, right? The boundaries are.
But the question is, who sets that?
Exactly.
So it should be you and your partner. Kung magbuot. And the kicker here is that nobody else can buot. For me, kung mao na inyong gisabot sa imong partner, pareha namang polyamorous relationships or monogamous. No one can really judge. There's no book actually that says nga kanang weird man ilang gipambuhat.
There are actually books.
There are
old books.
Social constructs in general, no? And I'd also like to talk about that. You asked me earlier, who wrote the rules man gyud on categorization of relationship? How can we really say unsa man gyud ang what is the relevance of that in society? And I think that's so important. I noticed Jiggy's always on utility. Why do we need to have unsa man gamit anang construct? Why is it important to categorize relationships and to categorize what is your responsibility towards a person? Ngano lahi ang responsibility of of this person to me compared to Ana. And then I tried to ask myself that, and I looked at it from a legal perspective.
Yeah.
Karon
Yeah.
nagamit ang ginagawa kong kunuhay legal, my
Yeah.
very very limited
Yeah.
legal knowledge, no.
Okay.
So there's this doctrine and I came to remember bang na doctrine in Philippine law, this specific case na among gi-study. Woman, she had complications in giving birth.
Okay.
Her parents called a specific doctor.
Okay.
And then the doctor came to the house, rendered the services, natabangan siya. Karon ang question is, asa siya maningil og kwarta? The doctor was like, okay, pay up because I helped your daughter. Kinsa mo bayad ani? The spouse of that woman denied and said nga, ang parents dapat mo bayad ani kay ang parents may nanawag nimo. I didn't call for a doctor. The parents called for a doctor.
Yeah.
And later on, this case reached the Supreme Court and they ruled that spousal support, no, as a spouse, you are bound by law that you have to be the one to provide.
Correct,
you have to be the one
yeah.
to pay for your husband.
Yeah.
And it helped me and it made me think na, you know what, no matter what relationships we were birthed into, we were born into this life, relationships will never be the same. There is that reality of categorization or ranking, therefore, of relationships within each other that even the law
Yeah.
pushes forward. I don't think the legal system would enforce a kind of law wherein the husband is liable. If your parents get sick as a child, you are not legally responsible to pay for your parents, but you are legally responsible to pay for your sick husband or wife or spouse. In that sense, it made me think, banga, wow, even the law really pushes that it's a reinforcement of the fact that relationships are categorized. I kind of questioned myself once. Like, must there be a categorization? So may purpose ana. Why must we categorize?
Yeah, that's what the law is, right? And the law
So many gamit ana.
we talked about this before a few episodes ago about the idea of Nike, right? We talked
Unsa
about this.
ganito?
The idea of Nike is that even if all of the factories and all of the buildings of Nike burned down, the day after, somebody would just open another Nike and it'll still be there, right? Because
Okay.
the Nike is just an idea. It's just a story.
not the physical
it's
store.
a legal entity, right? It's a story. We keep on coming back to this
Story,
It's
dili
always-
store.
It's a store and a
Re.
re. You know what I
Store
mean?
slash
so
Y.
kanang legal identity is just a story.
Yeah,
Basig masunog
very
tanan-
small lens lang gid siya of an idea, sad.
So kanang imong gihisgutan sakto ka nga naman tay narrative, naman tay istorya ngayon ani ni. Ato na lang nang protektahan sila. Maghimo na lang tag balaod, maghimo na lang tag laws to protect because the purpose of the law, I think, which we have to talk to
My Uncle Jim
your Uncle
about
Jim about it
on Thursday.
on Thursday, right? I think the purpose of the law or the purpose of laws is harmony, peace and harmony, right? To make sure that the world is in harmony, and I think
Order?
we try to protect our
things
brothers
we hold
and
dear.
sisters with certain laws that protect the least of us, diba? Kanang mga wala
Least,
kayo-
last, and
walay
lost.
wala kaayo resources, right? Mo na atong mo gina ang ultimate beneficiary sa balao, di ba? Nga katong mga the least of us, right? Katong mga daghan og resources, if you think about it, they can actually act like there's no law. Right? They can do whatever the hell they want. If you think about it, if there were no guardrails also, mo ila lang iabuso, then katong mga daghan og resources, mo to sila maghari, mo to sila mo
rise above all.
Pahimos sa mga pobre, sa mga the least of us. So mo nang naay balaod nga to have a harmonious and a peaceful society mo na siya. So you're right.
Ako lang gitanaw ang utility ba?
yeah.
Why do we have that expectation?
So mo na siya.
Ano,
Kay
one of the reasons katawra. That's what I'm thinking.
mo man na siya. Mo man ang ato ang nahimo nga istorya, right? So I think we need the opinion of our listeners as well.
Definitely, guys.
Right?
Mao na siya.
Kami naghisgot me. We're just talking off of our asses, so we don't know what the hell we're talking about, right? So
own opinions lang.
So please join us at Tops Media Center on YouTube. Katong naminaw nato sa atong mga tagsa-tagsa ka mga radio sets.
Yes.
So nakapalit yung radio set day Justin.
A new one?
Kaning nindot lingaw kay kustanan kay mura siya gamay kay siya nga box niya.
Okay.
Chargeable ba? Rechargeable.
Chargeable nga.
yeah.
Where did you buy this off of?
Naadto ko
Online?
sa dili kay si Von akong anak sige na ko gipapalit og kaning og O great transistor radio di gyud makapalit ambot pulan na busy sa uyab lagi. Sound money. Anyway, ang atong text number 0962-746-3537. Join us in our conversation. Is it okay to have a best friend even though you're in a romantic relationship with somebody else? Kaning best friend, bestest friend ni siya. So ang iyang mahog siya nga bestest friend sa imong partner, pero ikaw ang iyang uyab. Ang ganahan ni Justin, ang iyang ganahan may
personal
tabo
opinion.
is the person who's your spouse, who's your partner, who's your romantic partner should also be
your best friend.
Dili mahimong anak ka lang best friend. It should be one and the same. I of course I totally and completely disagree with that. But we need an arbiter. Kay mas stalemate kid mi diri. Tabangin ko ni mi diri mga kaigalaan.
No, but then guys, one thing to remember is that there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
Kay opinion naman gyud ni.
Yeah.
And that's why maglahi-lahi lang gid ta. The most important thing naman gyud is magklaro ka sa imong self what do you want. So we want to know, what do you guys want? Unsa man gid inyong opinion? And that's one of the most beautiful things about having these platforms sa top of the morning. We want to hear what you guys think. Kay kung kami ra ni Jiggy magbuot-buot kung unsay sakto, I don't know if we'll ever reach anywhere, right? So let us know. Let me hold on. I don't see the comments on my end. I'm gonna ask help to move it.
Okay.
But I think, let me see if our Facebook Live has comments as well. Wait,
Ato ang tak na karon 57 minutos ng milabay sa alas 9. This is Jiggy Juice.
and this is Justine Narvios.
Ang atong isgutan karong buntaga sa top of the morning is it okay to have a bestest friend even though you're in a relationship?
Yeah.
Join us in our conversation at Tops Media Center on YouTube, on the radio. Thank you. Daghang salamat sa inyong pagpaminaw diya. If you have any inputs, okay ra ba nga na kay best friend unyang imuhang partner na po kay partner, na kay girlfriend, boyfriend, or in another romantic relationship, and na kay best friend. Okay ra ba na? Let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, guys. Christian Ramirez, top of the morning to
Okay.
you. Thank you for joining us on our Facebook Live.
Okay.
What do you think, Christian Ramirez? Do you think it's okay nga ikaw personally? And don't worry, ay mo kahadlok og tubag ani. Feeling ako Jiggy ba, people are a little bit afraid kay padung man Valentine's Day and they're afraid like unsa ilang mga opinions ani, but don't be afraid guys, let us know. Ay, did our live end? Okay, there we go. Mom Rolls. Morning Kuya. Top of the morning. I think this is Kuya Magic's mother.
Yeah.
Mama Rose, top of the morning to you. Thank you for joining us, ma'am. Who else is here on our live? Oh no, that was yesterday's live. Oh my goodness. Naunsa naman ni, oy. Let's see if it's...
Si Frederick Josera silinga na namo sa kuan, silinga na namo sa Kabahar, Guadalupe.
Wow!
Si Christian Ramirez, daghang salamat sa inyo. Pag-appeal sa among conversation karong buntaga about being a best friend and being lovers. Are they
Like,
one and the same? Should
Yeah,
they be one
should
and the
they be
same,
one and the
or should you
same?
have room for a best friend even though you're already in a romantic relationship? Of course, this conversation stems again from that very controversial love story, love triangle between Andy Eigenman and Philmar and that Swedish surfer girl Perolini.
Perolini.
Pero-
Ito na, Pernilia.
Pernelia.
Perolini. Yeah, we're getting her name wrong. So sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pernilia. On one hand, yesterday I also thought about it now. I was
Okay.
thinking, unsa man di ang ginang perils of kanang, cause then the answer might be obvious to a lot of our listeners. For example, lucky ka na kay wife, di gud pwede nga na kay best friend nga babae. Like most people would agree with that. But then I try to say, okay, let's switch up the situation. What if lucky ka na kay wife, pero mo best friend kay lucky also, and you're not attracted at all to them kay imong sexual orientation babae ra man gyud.
Mo lagi, oh.
So then, is it okay? I think the more important question to ask is that, like, katong imong giingon, I consider what you said, nga, time and effort, that's the thing that matters the most. So, and the reality is, human as we are, you can't give the same amount good, and it should not be the same for me. Makasay pud ko ana. Is it fair to give the same or more effort and time to your best friend more than your spouse? I would say no. Is it fair to give more time and effort to your spouse over your friends? I would say yes. And then I'm trying to make it a specific situation. The expectation man good, if I believe if you're married, for example, again, an example that I'm just throwing from the top of my head because I freaking can't relate. The
Anong marriage magid? Just be if you're in a relationship with somebody, mo lang siya.
Okay. Simple na lang.
Don't make it too complicated. You're with somebody, boyfriend, girlfriend. Mo.
Yeah, okay. You're in a romantic relationship with somebody. The expectations of you and your friends would change in such a way that they should understand and you should understand that how the other partner might feel if sige ra kag kuyog sa imong friends. So for example, instead of spending time with your significant other, si kag laag with your best friends. And then again, it boils down to if they trust each other, if your partner knows about them and such. But even with the trust, no matter how much they trust you, it's ultimately your choice man on who you want to spend your time with, who you want to give effort to. And for me, ang prevail dapat should be your partner. And I wanted to there was a Gen Z term that I wanted to tell you about. Are you familiar with girl's girl?
No. It's like a best friend, girlfriend?
So guys, ang kaning sa mga listeners nato, are you familiar with when they say like, oh, she's a girl's girl or that's a girl's girl? So this term came about now. In Gen Z, it basically means that you are it's the opposite of a pick-me girl. So it means
what's a pick-me girl?
Mao na ning lisod kayo. A pick-me girl is someone
na may termino nga lahi pod pick-up girl, lahi mo na siya.
Oh, what is that?
A pick-up girl is like somebody you just pick up. You know, like almost like a prostitute.
That's pick-up girl.
Yeah.
Pick-me girl.
Okay.
Similar, but when we not the prostitute way, but a pick-me girl is someone who's kind of like insecure, and then one of the traits is that they put down other girls and other people to make themselves look big and feel confident.
Sounds like everybody.
It does, pero it's targeted mostly sa girls. So pick-me girl ka. Kana bitang you put down other girls in front of guys para ikaw kunuhay ang you be favored, and they secretly want attention from guys. They would throw away friendships to do that.
It's please continue.
Yeah. Karon the concept of a girl's girl, meaning you respect a girl so much and you value respect of a girl's relationship more than anything else. So for example, being a girl's girl means that when you and your friend, you're both girls, one of them is in a romantic relationship, that you respect the boundaries of that. That's an example of being a girl's girl. Meaning, di ka magsigig kanang samuk-samuk nila, you respect their time as a couple, di ka maghatag og unsolicited advice, dili ka mag-spend og suspicious amount of time with the partner of your best friend, partner sa girl, because you respect the boundary. So, and I'm very particular about that. Again, these are all social cues that we make up in society. Kita ramay gahimo ani. But I feel like ang generation now, which I'm happy about, is becoming more and more aware of the little things we can do to become girls. Which it sounds like common sense. Like when we talked about should you respect someone that's older than you, mura man siya common sense raman na. But
it's not.
It's not, Jiggy. A lot of people don't know that.
Especially if it's going on for a long period of time. That means this whole idea of whatever it is that we are socially constructing has a utility, number one, and number two, it is important. Meaning to say that this thing that's been going on for eons is useful to society.
It survived, man.
It survives, man, the test of time, because time is brutal, right? In fact, 99.99% of the species of life have been extinct already. Life is actually very wasteful. We destroy things that are not
wasted and wasteful.
We destroy things that cannot adopt.
Do not serve us.
They do not survive and do not serve us well, right? So, importante kay nga itong isgutan. So, kanang dynamics of a relationship, that's also important. I just have to say a kind of caveat ba. I used to be not like this. I used to be that exact person that you're describing. Now I used to have like all these boundaries and all of these things, like kutubra ka diha.
A strict, a rigid mindset.
I used to be like you when I was younger. But now that I've understood how life works and how people are and how fluid things are and how things can change overnight, because we have no control over a lot of things, and one of the things that I have learned in life is that if you put yourselves in one basket, if you're so emotionally
Invested.
attached to things or to objects or to people, you know for a fact that things, objects, and people won't last because everything is a process.
Oh, okay.
Everything is a process. Everything is fluid. Everything is a process.
Fleeting.
No, it's a process.
Oh,
like,
process.
like for example, the human person is a process. We have
It's an evolution. It's a
no. We have hydration and the pumping of the heart and
digestion.
And digestion. It's we're all,
Okay.
a million processes going on right now. A process has made me able to speak to you. That's a process, right? So everything's a process. A rock is, you would think that it's something stationary. It's been there, but no. It probably came from a volcano that exploded millions of years ago, and it rolled down the mountain, and it stayed there for a little bit, and it'll probably break apart, maybe, or
napatira na sa mga animals, whatever.
So everything's a process. So
Okay.
knowing that everything is a process, that means that we're always trying to understand. We're always a kind of a step behind because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen next. So everything's a process. So I have a newer and a better appreciation of life. That's why
Okay.
I've become this more open person now, that I'm no longer boxed in with this and that. But I do understand romantic relationships. I have been in romantic relationships myself, right? And I understand the jealousy. You know what I mean? I understand the
doubt,
the wanting to almost own a person, like this is my property, she is mine, and nobody can touch her except me, and blah 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 blah. The list just goes on and on, right? Because we think that other people are things that we can own, but no, they are not things. People are not things. People are processes. We're a work in progress. We're still becoming until we're no longer. Until we die, right? So it's still
That's
still
one time it stops.
So
Okay.
I think that's where it stems from. In fact, they say, this is a quote from one of my favorite philosophers and historians. Ingon siya nga, history is the study of change. History is the study of change. You understand how things change, and that, my friends, is what history is all about. So we're always changing. We're always
Evolving.
We're always changing. So
And we should welcome that.
Lisod kayo i-box nimo, lisod kayo i-label nimo, lisod kayo nimo. But of course, like you said, naman utility ng label, naman utility ang hierarchy, naman na utility ang mga names, categorizations, diba?
Expectation.
Yeah, and then it becomes part of our language, diba? And this is the way we understand the world. There are words for things that we feel important. That kanang siya importante sa himon tanig word. Unsa man ang kaning babae.
What do you mean by that?
O babae o lalaki nga kaning ma-in-love, unsa tawagan na nila? Managtiayon.
Ayon.
For example, let's say himo na tog word kay society deems it important. So that's the way how I appreciate my place in the world now. But before, I was exactly like you. I did, it was like this or that,
I think, you know what? That's really important that you mentioned that process moving forward.
Yeah.
When you're too boxed into an idea,
Yeah.
you actually limit yourself from moving forward. And
Yeah.
many of times, regardless of age, regardless of where you are at in life, a lot of people who are older or young, it really doesn't matter. When you're too stringent, too boxed into a certain idea, you lose the opportunity to be not only open but to learn more things and to move forward as a person. No, so I think it's really important that you address that. I think the problem is that we're looking at too much of an extreme.
Yeah.
I also do not believe in I would like to clarify that my beliefs is really under the pretense of the utility and the importance of categorization and setting expectations and boundaries, not for anyone else but for yourself. But I would hope that it would not be mistaken as well as going to the extreme end of the spectrum where it is you feel like you own the person. I also totally disagree with that, no? And that you would put all your eggs in the basket and that you would bank so much of your life on a single relationship because the beauty of life is that we are filled with multifaceted relationships. I also don't believe in
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
It's nuanced.
I don't
Right?
I also
Life is nuanced, and then
Yeah.
the moment we label things, then the nuance disappears, right?
I don't think the problem is in labeling. I think people have a misinterpretation. Like the moment we labeling is fine. The moment I feel like go to the extremes of attaching so much that label that we lose ourselves and lose the nuances of life. That's the problem there. I
So
think
there's a danger if you attach too much meaning to the label. Is that what you said?
katong imong gingon nga too much eggs in a basket, because I do see this a lot, no? And I feel like
No. What I said was you put all your eggs in one basket, meaning to say that you invest everything to that thing, to that idea, to that person, to that.
and when you invest everything,
cause.
what happens to everything else? Diba? You discard of
Yeah.
it, no?
Because
I don't believe in that too.
We are complex beings. So we need a lot of things, right? Na magiging I overheard somebody once saying, your partner, your wife, your girlfriend, your spouse, you can't find everything in one person.
That's a nice one.
Imposible ka na sa
And your life
who are
shouldn't,
you looking for? Supergirl or Superman? You know what I mean? No, that person can't be your everything, man. And mo lagi na siya. That's what happens to romantic love, especially in the early stages, right? Your early stages, nga, you're all for me. Like nobody, I own you.
So then your focus
like,
is
you
only
have to
for a
tell me where
person.
you're going. You can't have a best friend. Blah 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 blah. The list just goes on and on of things you can and cannot do, right? But once you've matured. Once you've realized how life works and how things go, then you have a different appreciation for relationships, because kana manggong kaning dugay na kay mo, for example, kaning kamura gyud ga na tubangay kay dili lagi kaganahan nga mokoy sa siyang best friend for 10 years, for example. After a while, you're gonna get sick and tired of each other.
True,
That's what
true.
happens, because love, passion waxes and wanes like everything in life. So ikaw diha nga
Kanara imong gibangkon.
So you probably your best friend probably nang luod na, or maybe nalayo na siya sa nimo kay wala na maka-spend og time niya because
Wala man nimo na nourish.
o wala
Okay.
man nimo na nourish imong friendship niya. So nahitabo na wag niya pag human noon nga kaning murag napulaan na mo sa inyong usag-usaba as a couple ba.
Yeah.
Nga ganahan ka to take a break from the relationship, maybe.
Yeah.
Ang imong best friend is nowhere to be found because
Kaya wala man nimo
you
na-
lost that
na nurture.
person, or your relationship is different now because you said there are boundaries. You can't do
Yeah.
this anymore. So may tabuan na you end up becoming another person. You become another person, which is fine because we're also ever evolving. But that person who your partner met is no longer that person because you change that person into becoming the person that you want the partner to be,
Become.
right? So may tabuan ng tawhana, he's no longer the person that you fell in love with in the first place because you told him not to hang out with this guy, right? And this guy gave him adventure. This guy gave him like a gusto for life, you know?
And dili pod siya ma-erase sa katong life.
You gave him like all these books and all these experiences that made him who he is. But you stopped him from being that person because you don't want him to have a best friend. And all of a sudden, 10 years down the line, you're no longer the person that I'm in love with because you did not spend as much time as you wanted to becoming who you are. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So yeah.
I like how we're very specific with examples because
yeah.
that's really how we understand the spectrum of it. No, what are the perils of going on opposite sides of the
Yeah,
extremes?
yeah.
And I'd like to point out
We're
also.
just moving needles here.
Yeah, that's how you understand when
yeah,
a concept.
yeah,
You
yeah.
go to like when is it dangerous? When
Yeah,
can you so
yeah,
that you can
yeah.
understand
Yeah, yeah.
the middle ground, which me and Jiggy are always talking about here. Top of the morning, a balance is key and the
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Pero
The
you know,
solution is always in the middle.
you mentioned earlier nga this kind of problem is very evident in
Well, it's
mga-
not a problem, huh? It's
Oh,
not a problem.
not problem.
It's
This
not
kind of phenomenon
Yeah,
is
yeah.
very much present, and you really understand it in a lot of budding relationships. But-
Budding?
budding budding relationship
Budding.
kanang mga bago ni tubo ba? Bago ni tubo. Pero
bago pa nga sayo pa kanang early on in a relationship with budding. Murag buwak ba nga?
buwak
Bud pa siya.
nagbud budding.
I'm not budding.
Budding also relationships
Pwede
kana
pod,
apil
pwede
pod.
pod, oh.
Pero I know a lot of our listeners here, top of the morning to you guys, are that of the age in which they have the opposite, not budding relationships, but long-lasting relationships, no family. So I'd like to give an example that in which it might be a little bit more understandable.
Okay.
Kay kanina ni talk man ka about nga ang problema na kung naka sa extreme part of the ano, for example, you just found you have a new relationship with someone. The extreme part where the needle is in the dangerous part is when you discard everything else in your life and focus so much on that one person, which is impractical.
Yeah.
And
No, but I'm not even talking about that. Even if you move the needle ever so slightly and tell that person you can't do that anymore, then something's amiss. Like, what did I do wrong? We're just best friends. What the hell? What's wrong? So even if it's just a small movement to the other side of spending more time with your spouse and not so because you had a thing. You had a thing. You did things a certain way, and kung disturbo na siya.
Then it would, yeah.
The relationship will be off kilter because you know how precarious human relationships are. Gamay lang kayong butang usay mang luo na dayon, oy. Daghan kita mga luoran,
yeah.
diba? So I'm not even talking about extreme. I'm talking even just a
slightly.
move.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people can relate to the fact that, for example, I'd like to look not necessarily on romantic relationships. What about
Friendships.
no, like you as an adult, your responsibility to your parents versus your responsibility to your children.
Okay.
So these are for our listeners who have children and as well and who want to play the role and who also value their roles as children to their own parents. No, the reality really is that the way that you value your kids will always be different also from the way that you value your parents. But the reality is that you don't have to choose one or the other.
Yeah, correct.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't have to choose the role of a mother more than being a daughter to your parents.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think that's the way life is. And the sooner that we accept the reality na you are in between both relationships and you must value both, the better. But I think it would really all depend on what that person would value. If you're a family person and you value harmony within your family and you value giving back to your parents, then you will take care of your parents until they get old. And if you're a family person that values raising your kids well, like you, kanang making them ready for the world, like as you always say, then you will do the same thing at the same time to raise your kids. So it really depends on the person in a romantic relationship. If your priority as of that moment in life, because again, our priorities would also change. Our dreams also change.
Yeah.
If your dream is to build a family and then you're newly married, syempre, more than hanging out with your friends, more than building relationships, more than adventure, finding books, your relationship
Yeah, but that's a very narrow way of looking at life because you're just looking at the immediate
kanang
future,
murag,
right?
who can only give you what you need at that time.
At that time, right? But if you have the wisdom to telescope out of your little bubble there called a family, then you'll understand how
life is more than that.
how complicated, how nuanced life is, and you have a new appreciation of how it works.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's easier said than done, Manggod, to say nga, prioritize your family more than your friends or something like that, right?
No, actually, that's easy. That's easy to do because that's what everybody expects you to do. That's what you're supposed to do.
Keyword, expect.
Expectations. Mo na expectations sa society. Mo na expectations. Newlywed, mag-ura mong namin niyo. Pag maglaglaag na din ka, di ba? Dude,
that's an expectation.
That's also the feature of new love, new relationship, right?
Pero what I'd like to point out is
you're so into each other.
Into that.
Yeah.
So, but what I'd like to point out is there's always like a give and take. It's always like a what do you call that? A scale.
Transaction.
In a way, because some people would think. Contrary, the first example I gave, no.
So love is a transaction?
No,
Okay.
I'm trying to say, it's always a give and take, not as a transaction. I mean, like there are times that when you're nourishing a relationship with a specific group of people, that you'd lose also touch with other people, and that's normal. Because some people, Manggod, they're caught in the balance, Manggod, like, hala, if I spend so much time with my uyab, then if magbuwag mi, then wala ba ako ni spend time with my best friend. Yeah. Maunsan ako, if magbuwag mi, di na mi amigo sa akong best friend, diba? That's problem. But that's the reality of life. You can't be like a superhero that you're in two places at once. There's also instances wherein you can nourish at the same time. like you, for example, you're trying to take care of your parents and at the same time take care of your kids. You're able to balance the two. The scale is
actually,
so,
if you think about it, I'm doing it badly. I mean,
Grabe sad.
what I mean by badly is like it always skews to my kids. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, but
That's a reality.
but I think that my parents are older, right? I'm just spitballing here. I'm just expressing a fact of my life right now. I'm just sharing. I'm oversharing. Hashtag oversharing.
No, it's not oversharing.
So my parents are old. You know, my uncle just died a few days ago.
Yeah.
And,
May he rest in peace.
my dad is over 80. My mom's almost 80, and they have a few years left in the gas, right? In the tank. I mean. And my kids have like everything in front of them, right?
Bago pa ni
So
start.
I feel guilty that I don't have to spend more time with my parents because, but then again, my kids are also leaving. They're going abroad also, so I might physically
Not be able to see them for quite some time.
lose them, not be able to see them all the time. As much as I would like to, because I see my kids every single freaking day, right? I have coffee or meals with them every day.
You're with them
Yeah.
every day.
Every day, right? So I feel guilty. So I don't know how to balance it, to be honest with you, but I'm trying my best. So
You know what?
I'm trying my best.
I'm so glad that
Yeah.
you mentioned that, Jigino, and I hope a lot of our listeners can relate to that.
Yeah.
I see that with my parents as well. If you grew up with your grandparents, guys, makasabot ka ana gyud nga. It's you're like in my case, we live with my grandparents. Both my parents are only child,
Okay.
and before my grandfather passed almost a year ago, well now my grandma still lives with us, but before they used to just be like in a separate house a few meters away from us lang.
Okay.
Technically same compound. And so I understand that there's really a limbo and there's really difficulty in the way that I see how my parents try to balance them raising us and at the same time being the only kids of their parents. It's not easy, no, to manage there's so much nuances and expectations in those kind of relationships. But that's what I'd like to point out exactly. Nga, sometimes the reality of life is that it's a scale, and that as much as we'd like to keep a balance to treat
It's impossible.
It's not possible.
You can't please everybody.
the kind of love that you also give your parents and your children is different. It's the same way that I feel like the way that my grandparents loved my parents, lahi from the way that they loved me and my siblings. Like,
Marley would
diba?
Bob Marley would completely and totally
Disagree?
because it's just one love.
Oh, that's nice.
One love.
One love, but
One love.
different. What's that, channels of it? Different ways of expressing
it's
it?
the same love. It's the same love that you love your fellow men.
I like that.
The
That's
same way
nice.
you love your child, and the same way you love your parents, right? I know it's a
Oversimplification.
We have a bias because that's my mom. Because you know why? Because we've spent so much time with them. It's really the time invested. That's why we're so close to our relationships with our people who we have relationships
Your
to, because we've
family,
spent much more time than them. Sooner or later, if you're gonna spend, let's just say, more time with another person, then you will probably have the same affinity.
Exactly.
It becomes your family too,
Exactly.
right? Especially if you work in that place for half your life.
Yeah.
And you
Not all relationships are. Sometimes they're also built. No, not
Yeah.
necessarily
Yeah.
the ones that you're born
So
into.
it's really about
It makes me think sometimes
time,
about
yeah.
the reality of life. But my parents talk about this a lot too. Nga. It kind of like makes me panic a little bit of how like me and my siblings are very close, and then it feels weird to imagine there will literally be a time nga we won't be in the same house anymore. I can't imagine it now because in my head they're still kids.
You're imagining it.
Yeah.
Right now. You're trying to imagine.
I'm trying to imagine it, and
Yeah,
it makes
yeah.
me like a little bit panic ba.
You're teary eyed. Are you teary eyed right now?
A little bit, yeah. Because that's the reality of life. Like,
Okay.
they'll have their own families. I'll have my own family. And then, like, it feels weird that we'll be, like, having our... I don't know how to explain it. But that's the... I think all of this stems from that one love that you mentioned. Na we're all so full of it.
Yeah.
And it really depends on how we're going to distribute it in different relationships, whether it's with new friendships, whether it's with romantic relationships or with family. But the main thing that I like to point out, Langyud, is that it's not equal the way that we will be able to distribute it throughout relationships. And it's all a matter of choice. You choose later on down the road, Mangyud, who you spend time with the most? Imo ba ng family? Imo ba ng spouse? Imo ba ng new family, your own children?
Or workmates, or
imuhang
your
anak,
barkada, your
and
schoolmates, your classmates, whatever, whoever.
It's a choice.
Yeah, it's a choice that you make. Yeah.
Yeah, but the most important thing for me is that
ang na-advantage lang imong family because you've spent more time with them. They have a running start, right?
except for the ones nga cases nga siguro did not necessarily spend time with their blood family, no.
Pero what I mean by is na-advantage ang imuhang mama o papa nimo.
Kay they spend time with you, man.
Oh, niya pag man gi-nurture sila ga pakaon nimo, sila ga paskwela nimo.
Literally birthed you into this world,
Yeah, so
no?
maikog sa
Well, that goes back to our topic na sa katong murag familial utang na loob, no? Which
that's another topic in and of itself. So
but if you notice, guys, see, this is exactly what Sir Jude meant. Nga human relationships are so fluid.
Yeah.
Atong topic good earlier an hour ago was, is it okay to have a best friend,
yeah.
in relationship? Pero see, relationships, when we talk about that, we cannot do away with having examples of how about familial relationship? What about workmates? What about friends? Kaya the way that love is and the way that life is, I think, is not meant to be limited to a telescope man good of that. So
what blinders they call it, right? Kanang kabayo nga na blinders para makatog straight lang,
so
diba?
that's why if mahibong mo ngano naabot naman sila family, you can't not talk about boundaries and relationships and categories and extremes without talking about other relationships in your life. Unless you only have one kind of relationship in your life, which again is impossible, no? That's the nature of who we are. We are bound to have multiple social relations with each other. So,
and the most important relationship, of course, is your relationship to yourself also, right?
I like that.
That's also important, right?
Which we need to talk about good another time. How do we like nurture that, no?
Because I think the way you treat yourself is the way you treat others. I think that's really that's really the overly simplistic way of looking
you always insult yourself.
What do
like
you mean?
Guys, if you don't know, like Jiggy will drop a phone and then he'll say, guys, Jiggy will drop his phone and then he'll say, stupid, you're stupid. Then I'm like, Jiggy, did you just call yourself stupid? Or he'll accidentally hit something. He'll be like, that was so dumb. Or then, Jiggy, why are you insulting yourself? Yeah, you do that. Do you notice you do that?
I'm actually so mean to myself.
Yeah, he is, guys.
And I'm
makadungog lang ka skilled.
I'm mean to myself. I'm vocally mean to myself, but when I feel like that to other people,
you don't say it?
I try not to say it. Not because I don't want to say it, because that person is not me. So the way that I call myself stupid is probably not the way that he will feel.
I mean, you can say whatever you want to yourself.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
a thing, but not to other people.
Yeah.
Side note, I really like Ron. Thank you for this. If you're looking at our live stream right now, he's making it like a new. Ang balita. Guys, if you're watching us on Tops Media Center on YouTube, look at the live stream. The has changed. Unsa ni kaning the
You know what, Justine? I think we need help here in this conversation. And
guys.
Outside, actually, aside from inside the Facebook page, Tops Media Center, on YouTube at Tops Media Center, we have our friends outside who can
special guests
also join us in our conversation about, is it okay to have a bestest friend even if you have a romantic relationship? And if so, like, how should you
navigate through that?
Bahig it, right? How do you prioritize it? Is it 50-50? Is it like 25, 25,
and
25,
can you
25?
even number that? Can you categorize them?
Can you hierarchically rank them into how much or who has time for you and who gets to see you like a manager, like an office, right?
Murag na time sheet.
Kani si Justin kaning ako ang best friend kaning
1 hour na siya.
1 hour na siya. Kani siya ako ang ganahan ko na niya kaning romantically among relationship
5 hours. 5 hours
na
yang
siya.
family kay matug man kus balay 10 hours.
10 hours ha. So ano bitaw, so
that's funny.
Lain kay paminaon ba?
Yes, it does. That's the other side of the needle.
It sounds so
other end.
Business like ba. You know what I mean? And
robotic and
and you're not supposed to treat
not human
your relationships like that. You know what I mean? Because kung ana man gud, kung
what happens when we do that?
Kung may tabo ana man gud. For example, 1 hour si best friend onya 5 hours si spouse, for example.
Okay.
Pag human, naglami mang storya ni best friend ba? So nahimo
Kailangan ka mag-chika,
nag 2 hours, nahimo 3 hours. Ano man to nga 2 hours ba to nga 1 hour? You know what I mean? So naa na siya specific nga mga gripes nga you can poke holes into the transaction kay specific kayo nga ikaw 3 hours ka, ikaw 5 hours ka kay one ka nako. So may tabo na magsugod ng problema na kay ano man nga.
That's a good point. That's there becomes a problem, and also being too what's the word?
Transactional.
Transactional.
It's really
Too
transactional. Nga.
That's not. What's the opposite of humane? Like
inhumane.
Inhumane. That's inhumane. I would say.
Yeah.
No, it's not the way we're supposed to treat each
right.
other. And
the word is robotic. Yeah, it's like
robotic. No, murag ka ng sama na schedule, and as if time is the only measure pagid of. Is it really just the only measure and the only way that we can show
time is not the only measure? It's really the quote unquote quality time. But who are you kidding, man? And like the more, even if you're just sitting down with that person doing nothing, right? That's already something.
Yeah.
Right?
Must it be good an activity, diba?
Even if you're arguing with that person, you know, that's still time with
them,
knowing with the person. So I think that's BS. If you're saying it's not the quality, it's the it's not the quantity, it's the quality. I think quantity is quality. You know what I mean? Even if it's
what I mean is that
even if you don't spend anything, even if you don't do anything,
just being with that person,
that's already quality time. So
no, but I'm also saying, like, aside from quality time, one of the things that helps tip the scales, the things that you bahid, it's not only quality time. There's so many other kanang ways that we show appreciation and love and bahid our love for people aside from quality time. Pero I get why mao nang example of the transactional kanang schedule of who you meet, who you spend time with.
Murag opisina, di ba?
Murag yung opisina yun. Night time chart. But who's our guest today, Jiggy? Who can help us navigate through this?
Yeah, we'll talk to them in a few moments. But right now, let me remind you that Arnel Pineda will be in town. His journey
I'm so excited.
to Tops will finally come to its fruition.
Kana.
It's happening this Feb 14 at Tops here at the event space. We call it here at 105.1 TMC. We're the official radio station of that event. Listen.
Local Ground Productions, Tops, and TMC, The Best of Us, present Journey to Tops.
Teary-eyed on air. Basta mo yan. Like,
One of the biggest bands of all time.
Tell sir to move the chair. Let's come in. How you doing, Sarah? This is
Journey to Tops. Valentine's Day at
We met at the
Artfest.
Journey to Tops. Arnel Pineda live.
Oh yeah, I went to the
At Tops Souvenir Shop. David Douglas Cebu. Or the Valley Villa Hotel. 032-256-5000. That's 032-256-5000. Journey to Tops. Arnel Pineda live. Brought to you by Day and Luca. Charlotte. The Valley Villa Hotel. Tops. Local Ground Productions and Tops Media Center 105.1 TMC. The Best of Us. Experience love and luxury this February at Noosa Resort Cebu.
Jake, does that
Your
story
loved ones romantic dining experience at
That's actually very interesting.
Sige, let's talk about it.
Chichandi, 132.
Coming from someone who has been divorced.
Perfect. Sige, have a seat there. Yeah, join us.
For more intimate yet memorable
I'll take it.
moments,
Sorry.
enjoy
Oh my
exceptional 5-course dinner for two at Level 5 Pool Bar, Philly Hotel, complete with working drinks and activities.
We're gonna go back in a few moments with Sarah here. Stay tuned. Saan tong kuya mo, Sarah?
Oh, my mom and my daughter.
Why did they leave? Are they part of the
They're
interview?
downstairs.
Are they part of the interview? No.
No. Mm-hmm.
Have a seat.
Pag-abot na akong nadunggan was the Andy Filmer.
So we're talking about how is it okay to have a bestest friend who is not your partner, your wife, or your girlfriend, or whatnot, your romantic
I
partner.
have so many male friends, but they're gay. you know. But yeah, but I think I'm probably in a relationship where even if I'm with other men,
Yeah.
you know, and it's all that,
Yeah.
it's like you have to have trust. If you don't have it, it's, I don't know, for me too much boundary is also,
Paralyzing, right?
yeah, it's like living in a chateau with forts, you know, and then it's like, yeah, it's nice, but but maybe that's also because of my experience.
Yeah, that's why it's.
And then
I think
also
it really varies from person to person experiences, right?
And then it's funny we're talking about scheduling because you know what? There was a time when my husband and I would schedule.
Really?
Why? Because he's more of a routinary guy. He has to do his like we're doing business, and then you know it's like he has to do it within a period like the
Agreed upon.
the regular work hours.
Okay.
So he wants to do that from 8 to 5. After that, he wants to be able to just focus on
Everything
life,
else.
you know.
Mm.
While I have rehearsals, which usually happens after work.
Mhm.
Ay.
So how
So how
do
did
you make
you-
it work?
Ah.
Diba? So sometimes I'd be leaving and he's still on his way home because there's traffic and all that.
Oh yeah.
So we made sure that we'd meet up for lunch. Like really, like
Meet up
So
na lang
that's
in
like
between
a-
the day.
lunch date. Because then when I come home also, he's already asleep. But those were times when I was like having like really like busy schedule and
Yeah.
you know the rehearsals. So if you don't do that, it's like we're not really gonna see each other.
Yeah.
And I can understand there are also those like couples who are into that na, you know, one is working day shift, the other one's night shift, especially those in the medical profession.
Mm.
It's like how do you make it work, especially when you don't have a say on like your shift, for example.
Exactly.
And then when you
So
have
then-
kids, it's like
It becomes more difficult. Yeah. For around almost 15 years, we had that kind of relationship with my dad too, because he worked in BPO, so he did night shifts.
Oh, okay.
So now we're really glad that he does day shift and I work from home. Before, when I come home from school, he's still sleeping. And then the time that he wakes up and leaves for work, I'm about to sleep na, mga 11 p.m. So then we only get to see him at that time. We don't get to have lunch with him or see him. By the time we go to school, he's still coming home from work. So
Yeah.
di na pod mag-abot. So yeah, I can understand what you mean. Sometimes that's why we would value weekends. Like, okay, weekend day is
But then
family
you
day.
see when you're in also like with what I do, then the weekends is also like the busiest part.
yeah.
Check your time. It is now 10:38. Mayong bungkag sa kanatong tanan. Welcome to Top of the Morning. I'm your host.
My name is Jiggy Juice. Right beside me is...
Justine Arpes, top of the morning, guys. Thank
And
you for
ang
joining
atong
us.
gisgutan kanang buntaga is it okay to have a bestest friend even if you have a romantic relationship with somebody else? So your best friend and your romantic partner are two different people, and if so, how does it work? How do you navigate through that? Onya, I think we need a best friend. We need a best friend because I think we're like a couple that's arguing, and we need an outside perspective. Justine, don't you think so too?
I agree.
I feel like we need help here, and who better to help than our good friend who's actually has gone through a lot in her relationships. We'll have to talk about it. She's also an artist. She's the woman behind Two Tin Cans. Ladies and gentlemen, Sarah May S. Enclona. Mayong bungkag ni Bida, Sarah.
Mayong bungkag, Jiggy.
Mayong
and
good morning.
Justin.
You were
Good
listening to
morning.
us earlier, I heard.
Of course, yes.
Onya, kaning,
I'm enjoying the
yeah.
exchange.
And
my.
we felt like we needed more advice. We needed more
Oh, yeah.
inputs to our conversation. Kaya murag, I feel like magbugno gud mi ni Justin dire kung dili mi mo tabangon or tabangan.
I don't think advice is what I'll be giving. Maybe some input.
Inputs lang
yes,
siguro, inputs lang, yes. Because I think, yeah, you're right. We're actually not also giving advice. We're just discussing it. So,
Yeah.
ang among gisgutan karong buntaga, Sarah, before we talk about Two Tin Cans, by the way,
Of
which
course.
is a very busy company, and in fact, you can go to the website in advance. You can go to 2tincans.ph, number 2, tincans.ph, to find out more about Two Tin Cans. And we felt like we needed more advice. We needed more inputs to our conversation. Kaya murag, I think we need about what's going on with Sarah here and all the activities that are happening very soon. She was, of course, we bumped into her. You met her, Justine, through the
Tops Art Fest
Art
last
Fest, right?
October.
Yes, because she's a rare breed. This girl, Sarah, she's an artist, right?
Right.
And we need to get some inputs from her about this topic and other especially topics about the arts. So, but before that, Sarah, before we talk about the arts and Two Tin Cans and all the activities that you have, ang among giskutan ko ng buntaga is this: okay ra ba nga naa kay bestest friend nga at the same time you have a romantic relationship and they're not one and the same person, meaning to say nga murag more or less murag equal footing sila ba nga naay best friend napod kay uyab asawa or partner. Is that okay?
Yeah,
How
what do you think, Vince?
this is stemming, of course, from the Andy Eigenman, Filmar, and Perolini. What's her name? again?
Cornelia.
Pernelia, the Swedish
my God.
surfer in Siargao.
This issue.
That is all over the headlines. Now, okay ra ba na siya kaning Sarah nga naakay partner, romantic partner, nasa kay best friend. These are two different people and not one person. Okay ra ka na?
Oh, I would say yes. And in fact, I'm married, so I have a husband.
Okay.
But I still nurture my best friends from high school and grade school. We don't meet as much because, of course, life change, priorities change.
Okay.
You have kids, you have also your own marriages, and I think ideally, it would be nice that your partner becomes your best friend as well. But a best friend doesn't have to be only one. Para na ako, like for me, I count my best friends and like they come in my life in different like stages or different times. But then you really value that and you keep on. And it's like, for example, pag last December, one of my best friends who happened to be my childhood like friend yun, we were neighbors, we went to the same school. She was here for a visit sa yung family from Australia. And we haven't seen each other in like years. But, you see each other and it's like, wow, murag,
As
nothing
if time has
changed.
never passed.
Yes, except that now you have a kid and then she's married and all that. But of course, with technology, it's become easy. You can chat, you can check with each other, but we don't even do that every day. But there's like this kaning unsay tawag nato kaning silent ba nga agreement ba. Now we still love each other, we still care for each other. But I'll be there and you'll be there when we need each other the most. Ang problema man sad good when you have relationships, and I think the issue there is that if the guy and the surfer were really like besties, no? The issue, I think, starts with the fact now it's opposite sex.
Okay.
So
number one. That's number
That's
one.
number one.
Okay.
No? So, but best friends sometimes arrive in time of our lives wherein wa pa gani nato na meet ang atong partner.
That's
so
what
what does
Jiggy
that
mentioned,
mean?
kid. Oh.
Mao to imong gisulti nga, do we have to choose? Like, why do we have to choose? And then you mentioned about boundaries. So yeah, I think I feel that I don't have to choose, because if one of you would let me choose, then I would find that person asking me to choose to be in the wrong. Because
It's not right also to choose.
yeah,
Okay.
it's not like I have to give my entire self to one person, and because, diba, it cannot be like that. However, when it's with the opposite sex, no, and that becomes questionable. I think it's also a matter of trust and security. How secure is your relationship now with your partner? Now you're saying na kung dili siya comfortable with your best friend, you have to also listen and understand what makes your partner uncomfortable with the best friend. And I think there's also that idea ba nga kanang, of course, na sila'y nahibawan, sila ra, because you
Yeah.
weren't there at that time.
Yeah.
Wa pa ka ni exist, no? And there will always be that bond nga wa kay labot. And I think for a
Be my
partner,
race.
di ba, murag, why? I mean, I'm supposed to be your partner. Nga nung di man ko kahibaw, ana, no? So I guess it's also a matter good of trust and security issue. I will probably tell you, okay, I'm in my second marriage and I'm planning to make it my last, So my husband and I were both married before. And of course there's always that issue of you were married to someone else before and you've had that a different relationship because each person, 'di ba, lain-lain man na siya. And I think that I'm happy enough to be in a place wherein we know na bisan o kinsa pa ang akong kauban nga you just have that trust. Okay? So trust yun ay pinaka dako gyud siguro nga and if someone is already questioning that like sa relationship, that's something to
You
address.
have to honor it. Okay.
You have to address that also. And I think the other partner should make an effort to make sure that the other person feels secure enough.
Okay.
'Di ba? Addressing lang yun. And the thing is, mo na, kung ang imong best friend kay opposite sex, magka-problema mo sa relationship, adto man kasi imong best friend, 'di ba?
Yeah.
And
Nga ka
then,
magpahungaw.
ngadto ka magpahungaw. And usahay sad, if it's a best friend, they're always after magyud sila sa
Your
imong best interest.
Yeah.
So, sakto man sa yun unsa ilang to share with you unsa ilang mga thoughts o ilang mga ideas. But sometimes kanisad ilang ipang share, di isa ni angay nga i-share sa public or i-share even with your own partner.
Oh, yeah.
Ang unsay gisulti sa imong best friend nga, let's say maybe critical towards
Wag
your
yun na siya. Wag yun
partner,
na si Kuan si Andy.
kay tungod, for example, kay, di ba, ang iyang loyalty na aman nimo.
Okay.
Di ba inana man na kung magbuwag na unsa may mahitabo, di ba magbaryo-baryo na dayon?
Yeah, that's true.
Camp Andy and Camp Phil
Sa,
right?
sa una
Team
ganahan
TM.
sa una ganahan kay mo karon kay tungod nagbuwag na.
That's true.
Grabe na kay mo.
That's so true.
Yaw mo ana na
You
dayon.
side with your friend.
Yes, and
Yeah.
what would you usually hear?
I told you.
Wa man gyud mi ganahi ato niya,
Oh.
di ba? Ana man gyud na.
Actually, from the
After the fact na, di ba? After.
Yes. Di man gyud mi
That's
ganahan
funny.
ato niya. Questionably man gyud to siya. Wa gyud mi kasabot nganong nagkuyog mo ato and all that. And yeah, but if the question is just the fact, kana lang nga, pwede ba ta nga naay best friend? Aside from a romantic relationship. Why not?
Why not? Okay.
Yeah.
But you do feel like there's an issue when it comes to if your best friend is from the opposite.
If it makes your partner insecure.
That's the most important thing.
I think
Yes.
Okay.
kanang fear yun, I think, is usually most fear comes from ignorance. Mahadlo kay wa ka kabaw. So maybe
Yeah.
the more you know about your partner's best friend, the less fearful you'll become, I suspect.
But sometimes ignorance is bliss, man sa.
Mausa. Depending lang.
Unsa na klase nga ignorance?
Depende lang og how you take the lack of knowledge. Depende lang nimo kung ganahan ka malipay or ganahan ka nga mag-uol, right? Because it's really up to you. But the more you know about something, the less fearful of it you become. Because usually we fear the unknown. We fear the things that we cannot understand. So di ka makasabot nga man sila nga dili man siya masulti sa mga sekreto nako kay naman sila they've been
Their own thing. They have their own thing
yeah.
going on. But
Yeah.
I think I like how you mentioned Miss
Oh,
katong
nag-miss na
comfortable.
gini siya. You have to call me Sarah.
Should I just call you Sarah?
Shame on
Yes.
Oh no, because yesterday the guest we also call him like Sir Jude.
yeah.
Depends.
Oh my
again.
God.
But if you want me to call,
feeling young
Kasi knighted si Jude. Okay, ito.
but I think he's been knighted by the king of Talamban, I think.
yeah, I think
Yes.
so. I
King
think
of
so.
Talamban. Anyway, so yeah.
But okay, I'll call you Sarah then. In light of what you mentioned about making someone comfortable, right?
Yes.
So the most important thing, whether it's a male or female best friend or what, bisag kinsa pa na diha, if it's something that your partner has articulated to you and explained to you that they're not comfortable with, then not only it would be nice, but you should take action and do something about it. In whatever action that may
yes.
be. Basta i-address na nimo.
So communication is really key. You know, and that's both ways.
Okay.
And also you as a partner with a best friend who is going to be in the picture. Hopefully both of you would have best friends, and then you would actually understand how it is. But
Because I think if the other person, the partner doesn't have a best friend, he or she will not understand. Unsa man ning best friend ano man siya, di ba? Di siya makasabot. So I think she will have a deeper appreciation of your spouse's best friend if she herself
Has
a
one as
best friend,
well,
right?
yeah.
That's I think that's very important,
also
right?
one.
Like, what kind of person are you that who doesn't have a best friend? That's actually a red flag right there. Why don't you have a best friend?
Why don't you have any other relationships
right?
aside from
yeah,
this one?
right?
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of scary for somebody who doesn't have like a best friend?
I would also imagine someone with, let's say, trust issues,
Okay.
someone who's been through a lot. Let's
Yeah.
just say someone who's had a best friend
Okay.
and lost that best friend.
Okay.
And yeah, that
It's-
is
it's so-
still sad.
So it's still possible, right?
yeah.
So his trust issues is not just with the best friend of the other person, but also with the murag ba carry over sa ilang relationship ba.
Yes.
So mo na siya nga the problem actually is with that person who has trust issues, right?
I think, would you say it a problem? But it's also
The concern, yeah.
it's also a kanang nainana tano because of the experiences that
Yeah,
we've
the trauma
had
that
and
life
all
gives
that.
us, right?
But I would also say that each personality is different. So for someone who is so open and ato lang yung ibutang nga ang tao kay walay mali siya gyud no. Kanang tinuod gyud nga friends gyud. Wala man tay in ana, and then you just don't understand how come everyone would say things. Well, I guess it's always mo ana ta nga, as long as you're sure with what you do, with who you are, then why be affected by what other people say?
Oh, yeah.
However, when the person talking is the person you love, then you have to listen, I think, because
nice.
it's like kinsa man imong paminawon,
Yeah.
'di ba?
And they wouldn't have said anything in the first place if it didn't matter.
Yes, and maybe dili what's this? Dili tinuod ang nasa ilang huna-huna, no?
Yeah, so you need
but
to
it's
clear
still
things out.
valid. But it's still
Yeah.
valid. The emotion is valid. So you have to address it. And I think mo na siya.
Maybe the other
That's
topic
nice.
here that
Address.
that we can talk about here. I remember a movie, Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal, When Harry Met Sally. I don't know if you ever.
I've heard of that.
You should watch that movie.
Ang sige na
Rom-com?
siya nga year.
A long time ago. The question in that movie was, can you actually have a friend in the opposite sex? Or will there always be sexual tension? Will there always be a kind of romance brewing? And you can never have a best friend nga opposite sex. That's what the movie was
When
about.
Harry Met Sally.
I think that's the bigger question. Is that even possible?
Of course
to have
it's
to have
possible.
a best friend who is the opposite sex and is a heterosexual or a straight person. Is that even possible? Wala yung any kind of tension. Kaya may tabo magun, for example, nagbuwag mo sa inyong partner, right? And mo confide kasi mong best friend, right? There's a possibility. The possibility exists na something will spark, right? You don't know.
Anyone listen up.
You will never know. Posible nga posible gin ang imong best friend, imong ex, di ba? Posible po na, di ba? So, ang pangutana naron is that even possible to have a relationship with the opposite sex or a straight person at nga wala gid siya any sexual tension, any romantic inclination with that other person? I think that's an important question too.
I do think so.
Okay.
Yes. No? Because like I am sure that there are those who would only see their best friend as a brother or
Okay.
a sister. You're not going to cross that line, you know. For those who had that sexual tension or feeling that after, let's say, a breakup and all that, I do think that the mistake there was not towards how they saw each other, but it was taking advantage of that low point.
The
you know?
vulnerability at that time.
Yes, and the vulnerability and all that. But then you'd also say, but so nga nung ni cross man ka ngadto nga inana no nga kung wala gyud wala gyud. And that's it. It's a person to person thing. We know what's ideal, we know what's not, but we don't know what's needed at that point. And I would say na for someone like na pagtanaw nimo sa imong friend, it's like someone you've grown up with, someone very close to you, someone who's like a brother or a sister. I mean, I'm not gonna go to bed with you. You know, it's like it's so weird.
That's your own
kung
ano po.
inana. Yeah, but does it happen? Yes, of course. And we've
Is it
heard of
possible?
that so many
Yes.
times. Possible? Yes. But then the other side is also possible.
Yeah.
You know?
What can you say, Sarah, about the appropriation in that case? No, if I also agree that it's very much possible to have in relationships with other people of the opposite gender in which you're attracted to that gender but not necessarily that person kanang na kay close friend or best friend that you have you're like you have a platonic relationship with you, like no tension, no nothing at all like that. So what can you say about appropriation and the way that you should act, especially if that person's in a relationship? I think one of the bigger questions we should address here is that if you have a friend, a close friend that is in a relationship, the way you should act should change. Do you agree with that?
I don't think it's change is the word. I think you have to make adjustments.
Adjustments, okay.
Yes.
Appropriation.
So just realizing that what used to be the space for just the two of you will now have to welcome someone else. And maybe the priority doesn't even have to be you, at least for a moment. You will have your times na kamura and you'll have times na silara. And there will be times when all of you will get together and you will be included. And I think for Filipinos, diba, our friends become more like our families. So when we have like family gatherings, they're invited. They become, you know, they call our relatives, they call them tita, they call them tito. Even our parents, they call them mom and dad. And it's like they become one of us. So they're always included. Now, if it becomes a problem, then I think that there's really an issue between the partners. You know, it could be also nga ang imong partner nga best friend sad naasad siguro daghan na nasulti nga diba usahay nga ngano makigamiga pa magkaana niya nga inaana man day na siya.
Yeah.
Diba? Pwede man sad yun. So there are so many. It's not like sides. It's not just two sides. There's like it's infinite.
It's complicated.
That's the number one again. It's complicated.
Yeah. So isn't that why no one can still understand what really love is and love between romantic partners, love between friends and all that.
So
yes. But I would say, when you have that feeling, it's very, it's like everything just flows. It's effortless. But at the same time, I would also say that we have to make an effort because it's so effortless that everything can be taken for granted.
Well, it's possible to be effortless in the beginning, but like everything else in life, it waxes and it wanes, right?
So it needs action.
It's not something that is 100% all the
you have
time,
to
right?
keep the fire burning.
Yeah,
You have to ignite the flame.
I think you have to understand also that it is like a graph. If it were a graph, you'll go like a roller coaster, right?
Yes.
So I think that's what life really is. If you have to prepare for something, if there's one thing that's a constant, it is that there's nothing constant, right? So pardon me for the cliche, di ba? So mag-andam juga na nga mag-anana gini siya. There'll be times you'll probably be spending more time with your best friend when the time comes nga maybe gipahawa ka sa inyong balay kay whatever, you know what I mean, or nag-away mo you're like in a long fight, whatever, right? So or maybe
maybe you just needed space.
Yeah, exactly. You need space. So you're probably going to spend it hopefully with your best friend, right? So that way you can be with somebody who has nothing but good intentions for you, right?
Yes. Wala siya, again, it's complicated, but I like what you said earlier that what's the most important thing is actually self-love.
Oh yeah.
Because I think when we have that, when we love ourselves, it's so easy to radiate positivity and love towards others, no? And so ang atong mga lain-lain nga relationships would also kana mo follow sad siya. And we don't have to invest in unsa man siya existing relationships. We would invest more time with our loved ones, that from partner to parents to kids, and then to our ang atong best friends who become like part of our family. So kana di man gud mi suod ni Andy. So wag gid ko kahibaw kung unsa ang story.
So serious, Andy,
but
right?
like every
Mukhang Andy,
relationship, there's always that there are always issues, but the problem when you're a public figure is that people actually
off of
enjoy, enjoy looking at your life, dissecting it,
Ma-
trying to
ma-
give meaning to every word that you
Nami-
posted.
Naminaw si RJ Leduna, ang PR sa SM. Maing bungkag na mo diha.
Hi.
RJ Leduna, daghang salamat sa inyong pagpaminaw.
Thank you so
Nangutanan
much.
ko niya kung igsuon gud. Kinsa man ni ang agency aning mga influencers sa Siargao nga maayo man kaayos tanan. Mao lagi gisgutan na maghapon lagi nga kanhi
What
silang
if lang?
silang ni Filmar o ni Andy basig ni stagnate na ilahang mga likes ug mga views ba nga magbuwag sa ta karito para ganahan. Kato imong miga nga kanong taga Sweden no ato
kato, gwapo
tato mo dito para ma-promote sa na yung tattoo
Oh my
studio tattoo studio sa atong silingan
That's
atong
funny.
amigo si Procopio dito mo na gabuwag rin sila nisikat ang tattoo studio ni Procopio na balik ilahang likes niya pag human nakakorta na po sila di ba mura kita ra gisud sa bulsa ba you'll never know
What if?
And it's just like that,
That's
right?
true.
Right? Because these are influencers, right?
Yes.
I mean, gihisgot mi gahapon ni gastoryahan mi gahapon ni Justin Ani nga kung ganahan gud sila isulbaron ilang problema ngano i-post pa man na nila. Pwede man
That's one thing that he's also very particular
sulbara
about.
na sa ninyo pag human kung ganahan mo mag-post mo after. Para may apila ano kay ma-invested sa don yun. We're gonna spend a lot of time.
Daghan mo katog,
Yeah.
No, di katog ana. Ngano ka na sa ngano kang invested kita sa kinabuhi sa ubang tao. Sa ngano is our lives so frigging stale and boring that we need other people's lives to entertain us. Unsa man ngano man ni siya kaning Sarah unsay tan-aw nimo ani? Ngano man?
Well, one, yes, I agree. It's entertainment.
Okay.
Yeah. So it becomes like a reality telenovela
Yeah.
nga.
Like a soap opera,
Murag ang
right?
soap opera, no? Na all of a sudden it's like we know the these are real people. So mona nagtanaw sad ta because people like choosing sides.
Yeah.
Without
yeah.
even hearing both sides
People-
yet. Nana kay opinion dayon mao pagani pagbasa.
O pagkakaila.
Oh, sakto ni, di ni sakto na makak ni siya, dili ni siya. Ang sakto ani mo niya siya. And then we try to prove nga sakto gyud
Yeah,
lagi.
yeah.
Ako
Bias
Ngano,
or reason.
what do you call that phenomenon? Kanang our desire to take sides. Ganong side. Why don't you just let that be and then be neutral about it? Ganong, why do we have to take sides?
I feel like
Ngano man
human
na?
beings are very opinionated, and so we always have to have a say on something.
Ngano man?
And not having a say on something means like you have nothing to contribute. So then you then
You can still contribute, man, good, even though you
be in
don't.
silence,
You
no?
neutral.
Yeah, in silence.
To be neutral, I think is
Yeah.
is a kind of a more a better contribution to the topic, right?
then to be strongly
Ang
opinionated.
mulaban-laban man gyud. Ngano man na? Kay tribal gyud sa. I think it's a tribal tendencies, right?
tendency?
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe the
tribal
Marites-
tendencies.
Wow. Okay, I haven't thought of that,
Yeah.
but I'm not a psychologist.
Yeah, but
And,
this is a
uh,
psychologist.
I'm not the psychologist either.
Psychology graduate.
I'm very opinionated.
Yeah.
That's for one.
Oh.
Pero
Yeah.
not
But I think it's also like when especially with social media, that's like a platform, and you're
there.
able to express yourself. And if you notice, some of the comments are also based on their own experiences.
Of course,
and
yeah.
it's like it's time for them to be able to. It becomes
ma-fuel sila, may
Yes.
power sila na.
Ma-trigger
So
sila,
it
ma-trigger.
becomes about
Ah.
them, diba?
Oh, that's
Exactly.
And it's like, and now they're basing their judgment on their
Personal.
own personal
Exactly.
experiences, whether it's past or present. And ana gid siya.
Makarelate man sila.
And then
That's
hopefully
why.
nakabasa ang ilang gipaigo. No?
Oh, that's also one thing.
Diba? Ano man na?
Sige, they actually comment because they want other people to see their side.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. 0962-746-3537. Uwang nga may diring tulok kay murag magbugno sa mirong tawad. 0962-746-3537. That's our text number. Join us in our conversation here at
Yeah.
Top of the Morning with Jiggy Juice
And Justine Narvias.
and Sarah and Claude. Of course, live here from twottincans.ph. Kaning two tin cans ba? Mangisgo sa taglay.
Yes.
Unsa mo gining two tin cans? Unsa mamaligya mo
Mga
lata?
Ikaw, no?
Unsa man ning two tin
Yeah.
cans?
Basin kung namaligya ako glata ron.
Dato na kay
Sige,
kasanan.
murag dato na kay no?
Bilyonaryo na karon karon milyonaryo
Yeah,
lamang ka.
yes,
So dili siguro
yes.
di siguro lata
Not
yung
only
maligya
Dili
siguro.
dili lata akong gipaligya. So of course, Two Tin Cans is we consider ourselves as Cebu's premier theater communications company.
Okay.
So we're mostly known for the plays and musicals that we produce. That's one. So tomorrow is our 11th anniversary.
Wow!
Happy anniversary.
Yes.
Congratulations!
So we've been
Probably 11
doing
years.
11 years.
productions,
Oh my God.
and theater events for 11 years.
Whoa.
By tomorrow.
So,
Yeah.
is there anything special going on tomorrow aside from it being your 11th anniversary?
Not tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're basically just going to let people know
Okay.
what's in store for the entire year.
Oh, okay.
Although I think I'm gonna drop them here first.
What do you mean?
I'm going to announce it here.
You're gonna.
perfect.
First.
What do you
Yes.
what do you call that thing when you drop all your photographs and post it? What do you call that? A photo dump?
A dump. You're
A
gonna
dump.
dump it.
Yes,
You-
in
you-
fact, I'm
Sarah is gonna
a
take.
year worth.
Is gonna
A
take.
year worth of.
She
year
is gonna take a dump, a year's worth.
Oh damn!
Oh my God!
Take a dump.
So tell me about the activities before we continue our conversation about
Yes.
the bestest friend and being in a relationship with somebody else. Andy Philmar, the hashtag Andy Philmar, Siargao Love.
Yeah, Siargao.
Okay.
And Pernilia.
Cornelia. Tell me about the activities that Two Tin Cans will have this 2025 as you celebrate your 11th year. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah. So, but first, siguro, I would like to say that it's Happy Arts Month. You know.
Oh my God!
So
Oh.
February is it's Arts
Wow.
Month. Aside from
What is it?
Hearts Month.
It's
yeah.
Arts.
You can't
Yeah.
spell hearts without arts, right?
Oh, true.
All right.
I truly agree.
So-
And in fact, so many artists are inspired by love, whether
Absolutely.
it's unrequited or a true love.
Jude Gitamundo was here yesterday, and he was talking about all the heartbreaks and all the relationship that he's had, and then all the songs that he's made for them. We actually kind of revealed a lot of things about
Wow.
Jude,
Did
right?
A lot of his experiences.
Yeah.
No?
Okay. What the kibaw nga kato ding iyahang salidang what do you call that again? The Hearts the Hearts Club.
No. It's oh my goodness. No, I can't because I remember the other thing that you told me.
Anyway, he has a stage play
My goodness.
very soon, and as it
Suddenly
turns out, it's biographical. Yeah, it's actually kind of about him too, right? So that's Arts Month for you. Si Jude na siya event happening on the 21st until the 23rd at the UP Theater, and of course, Sarah Hill will break down to us all of her events as well. Please make note of this. If you have a phone, make sure you save it in your alarms or your diaries. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
Hopeless Romantics Club.
So, hopeless, no? So for February, that's National Arts Month, which also happens to be our anniversary month, just like Top's anniversary. No,
Yeah.
it was yesterday.
Exactly a year ago.
Yes. So for us, it's tomorrow.
Okay.
So just right before Valentine's Day. But I'd naka-remember baka, Jiggy, the last time I was here, that was just right before Art Fest, right?
Okay.
Tops Art Fest. And you asked me a question.
What was the question?
So you actually asked me if there was a group that like whose music we can probably turn into a musical or something like that. I remember, ka?
Yeah, I remember.
That's a genius idea.
Yeah, because I remember I was watching on my feeds that there's actually a movie about the Eraserheads, and
Yeah.
I was thinking,
Mm-hmm.
like, isn't there like a Cebu
stage
band
play.
that is like Eraserheads? It's probably bigger than Eraserheads in my mind, and we should have a musical. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. So why not, right?
So we started discussing that, right?
Okay.
And at that time I was telling you, well, we did have a discussion,
Okay.
but that was like pre-pandemic, and then of course nag-pandemic. So
Okay.
natugtog ta gamay, no? And then but we discussed it because I said, well, why not? I'm gonna mention because it happened anyway.
Okay.
So it was with Missing Philemon.
Oh my God!
Woo!
Missing Philemon and a stage play featuring these guys. Are you kidding me?
So
Tell me more,
So
please.
you've heard it first here
Wow.
at TMC. So we've been discussing with Insoy and Missing Philemon.
Inso is the
about-
front
yes.
man of Philemon, Missing Philemon.
Yeah, so of course this is going to be a Bismarck musical.
Wow.
But this is going to be a year long of preparation.
Wow.
Yes, but
So
just
when
letting
did,
you know
when
that
did the
this is-
preparation start? Now.
January.
January. Okay.
next-
Yes.
So it's already in
Okay.
the drawing board.
So what we have now is we're conceptualizing the story
Mm-hmm.
and gathering the creatives who will be involved.
Okay.
So of course kay baw ka aning musical man god, even if it's like we call it jukebox, no,
Mm-hmm.
naa na ready na ang
Songs.
music, so ready na ang songs. But the thing is, you still have to probably make some rearranging of some of the songs para muhaom siya sa story.
Mm-hmm.
There or sa feel and
Sa
all
scenes.
that.
Okay.
Familiar ba ka sa I'm sure daghan kay Bisaya no nga familiar kayo sa songs sa Missing Philemon.
Absolutely. I'm playing one right now. Principal. Okay.
So di ba daghan kay siya characters?
Daghan kayo.
Makarelate yun ta and ang
Absolutely.
iyang storytelling actually
Beautiful.
really beautiful.
Actually,
And
genius is the word. Genius.
Wala siya. So, just so you know, it's happening.
Okay.
So,
Something to look forward
mura
to.
sa tug na reminded sa gyud ko.
Yeah.
Sa tinuoray lang kay
Yeah.
tungod atong discussion, na reminded sa gyud ko ni message kong insoy. Insoy.
You know what? I think it was already rumored. They were going to do that, right? There was.
That was like really around 2019.
Yeah, dugay na kayo, di ba?
Oh,
Yeah.
so we started having meetings and all that, but wala gyud mi na dayon.
But I'm curious. Is this going to be similar to the stage play of Jude, nga medyo biographical? Is this
No,
Is this
no.
is this like across the universe? I don't know if you saw that musical. It was like a combination of all of the Beatles song. They weave together a love story using the Beatles song. Is it going to
Or a
be
new concept?
What do you have any?
Well-
Generally speaking, can you give us?
One for sure.
Okay.
There's going to be love.
Okay,
There.
of course,
Okay.
yeah.
It's always I
About
think
love.
in so many stories
It's
love
al-
is always
It's,
present.
it's
Central
always
theme.
about a girl.
Yes. And if you also if you listen to songs also of Missing Philemon, daghan kayog love songs sa gyud, no? Daghan kayog mga female
although this one,
characters.
hindi naman siya love song siguro. Itong
Habo-habo.
Habo-habo.
Yeah, so but what I'm trying to say is that one of the themes gyud nga present is love.
Love, okay.
That's one. And then of course at the moment we're trying to develop this the story. It's not going to be about
Insoy,
Insoy
yeah.
or Missing Philemon.
Yeah.
It's going to be a totally different universe.
Okay.
No? But it's going to be in Bisaya.
Okay, perfect.
And featuring Bisaya artists.
Okay.
So that's one where we're looking forward to. Mao siguro na akong
Super excited.
i-mention yun here because
Yeah.
kung
So it's out in the
kung
open.
na-mention man gud ni Jiggy last time, mura na hinon kog, oh my God, mura kog napukaw ba, no? So, mo to, text dayon ko,
The news
message
is out,
dayon ko,
guys.
and then this is it. So
Okay.
this is happening.
So
And,
set for next year.
next year.
Yeah, so February next year. Exactly.
Can they get their tickets already?
Not
Yeah.
yet. Oh, no.
You
no,
have
not
to
yet.
be ready with the tickets because
Yes, I am
I can
sure.
imagine this is
Uh-oh.
going to be a
People are
hot
gonna flock.
ticket. And
Yes.
I remember there's a lot of concerts, especially in Manila, that their tickets get sold out a year before
That's
the
true.
actual concert, right? So in Soy, Missing Philemon, you heard it here. And Sarah, of course, make sure you print your tickets now. I think people, I
As
think,
early as now.
I think people will pay good money just for the idea of a musical featuring Missing Philemon. They're going to reserve tickets right now. So please do yourselves a favor and
I think one is to just if you want to be updated.
yeah,
Yeah,
please.
You
Where
know,
can they find
follow
updates?
first. You follow all our pages, so that's on Facebook and Instagram. You know, so you follow Two Tin Cans Philippines Incorporated.
Okay.
So, and you can also check out our website, which would have all our upcoming events. So that's twotincans.ph. So 2 is the number 2,
The
and
number
then
two.
tin cans.
Don't
so
spell it,
that's
please.
one word.
So what else is going on?
So, mani siya. So,
Aside
ako
from
na
the-
nang giuna na nako.
Di-
Kay, mura man guni siya
she-
continuation
she
from
threw-
our last nga.
She threw us a bone.
The first
First bone.
good news.
More good news. Come on.
So, now we go to siguro unsay coming gyud no unsay kanang
the year.
pinaka duol. So this Saturday we are launching our one day ensemble. So it's
Oh.
actually it's more of a community thing. So what we do is we are going to gather in one area, inviting all who would like to sing, and we are going to learn a song and sing it together.
Learn a song together then
So
and there.
I
Okay.
think there had been events all around the globe, and it's already it's all over the internet, wherein daghan kaayog murag unsa ni kanang choirs nga maggather. No, and then they learn a song. They receive their music sheet.
Then
They
and
learn it, and then they sing together in the end.
Wow.
And then it's
okay.
recorded, and mona, you don't know each other. You're just gonna gather. So we call it One Day Ensemble because
Where
of
where
course,
is this happening? Is this
we
open
are-
to the public?
Yes, but unfortunately, full na mi.
So what is that? What
but
is
this
that?
weekend
You-
is
you
just the
mean-
first
You mean
of
you mean I
a
can't
series.
sing? I can't sing anymore.
Oh.
We can watch probably. Pwede
But
ba?
you can watch out for the next because
Okay.
after
Okay.
this,
But I can.
it's
I
a
can,
monthly thing.
I can be a spectator, right? I can.
For this
Yeah.
one, dili na gyud jig, as in puno na gyud mi.
Asa man ni siya?
So this is going to be at Cube Gallery. So it's a
okay.
small
Ah,
gathering.
okay. Over there in AS Fortuna, or is it in,
It's going to be at
I'm sorry, in
Crossroads.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a very small
So,
place.
Yes, we're starting really small.
Okay.
And then we have March, April, May, June.
okay.
No?
So
We
napay
have already. So March is, I believe it's going to be at Atua Midtown.
Okay.
And then April is going to be here at the hostel Honeycomb.
Okay.
And then May also. And then June and July, we still have to announce our venues. But we've been having really great results. People would like to join, and really, it's like being a part of an ensemble of a theater production. So it's not a choir. It's an ensemble. So, of course, our first so may tawag na to ani first meeting for our first event.
First episode.
First episode. The first song is the musical theater anthem, which is from Rent, the
Oh,
musical.
okay. Which one? Which song is this?
Seasons of
Oh, I
Love.
love that song.
Okay. So
500,000 minutes.
yes, of course.
I have to. I'm not very well versed. I have to study more of these. I know.
Yeah.
So of course it's also the love month. So but as the first meeting, we see that it's up. So I'm just gonna say I'm going to say hi to the crew who've actually conceptualized this because this isn't my idea.
Okay.
So congratulations to Mao Alcariza, to Dan Gigantone, to Carloy Versala, and of course our managing director Charlene Verlove. She's listening right now. She always
Top
does.
of the morning. Thank you.
Hi,
so much.
Mayong Bungkag. Yeah,
Saka
so
natuntunan.
it's been, I think, after the first, when we've made the announcement, I think within 24 hours it was already closed. Yeah, so
goodness.
So
inana siya.
this whole month of the arts, this entire month of February, is it like a global thing? Is it like a Cebu City thing?
It's a
What-
national.
Okay.
So that's for the Philippines.
So we've been celebrating this one forever, right? Or
la.
no? This is a fairly recent
No,
celebration.
it's been for decades, if I
Okay,
may
so
say.
is there like
Uh-huh.
a
So
like,
if you notice,
what's the centerpiece of Arts Month? Is there like a big event?
so there's actually a
usually?
theme. So I think it just ang theme na to is actually in Tagalog. It says what's this? It's the arts is unsa may tawag ani? The produce of culture and heritage and all that, or the ako kung basahon
The
unsay.
bunga? The-
No.
Hindi pala ka?
Hindi kami.
No, it's
Hindi pala ka?
It's,
si Grace hindi pala ka. Ano pala siya? Pala.
Hindi namin alam.
No, because if you remember,
In-
Arts Month for Cebu
Okay.
City
Okay.
Was
is August.
Oh, so
So-
do ka book Arts Month day.
So it's really just for Cebu City.
Oh.
So ang atong national is actually February.
So unsa may-
if
unsa
you
may-
notice, daghan kayong events
But what is
mahitabo.
the centerpiece? Like, what's the biggest event on Arts Month? Is there anything in particular? No?
I think if you've heard, there was the Pasinaya in Manila.
What's something
which they
Pasinayo?
made regional also.
What is that?
So the good thing about it is that it's a festival wherein you're able to attend workshops, listen to talks, and watch performances.
Do we have anything like that
in
for
one
this,
venue?
this February?
For
in Cebu.
not in Cebu. So we don't have that. But we have something in May here
Okay.
at Tufts.
Oh, which
It's,
which you can talk about, right?
Yes,
Tell-
that
tell-
I can really talk about.
Tell us about what's
so,
happening this month.
so this May, in partnership with Tops,
Okay.
that would be the very first Hugkat, which is a theater for wellness festival.
Theater for wellness.
Yes,
What-
theater
what-
for wellness.
What does
so,
that mean exactly?
Oh, what does that mean? So, yes, okay. So, you know, with wellness, like right now, we are, unsa man ang atong concern is usually our well-being, promoting,
yeah.
you know, mental health and all that.
Physical well-being.
That's like the
Yes.
the buzzword wellness, right? But it's also a very vague and almost woo word. In fact, in some quarters of the world, it has gotten a bad rap. The word wellness, right? Because it also means that it could mean anything. Like what's
Why
her
bad?
face? Gwyneth Paltrow has all these products and all that stuff. That is
Well,
about,
I think
yeah.
that's the consumerist side
yeah,
of
the
it.
consumer side of it. So,
Yeah.
when you say wellness and the arts, what do you mean
So,
exactly?
For theater, if you think about theater, theater is a combination of all the arts. You know, you have music, you have dance, you have visual arts, you have acting. You have all that. Now, what we're trying to do here with this festival, which is Huggat, which means it's to release, you know, to
Hugad?
so, Huggat.
Huggat.
It's
Unleash? Is it unleash? Murag
to,
huggat.
yeah, you know, to
Up-
kana siya.
Murag
To
uproot?
To lain na siya
Pagawas?
to murag siya pagawas, not to
Pagawas.
release to
Ah.
and all
Murag
that.
ipahongaw.
So what we're trying to promote really is it's release, it's to reflect, and it's also to renew and then recharge, that kind of experience. So why theater? So theater here is going to be used as a form of achieving wellness. You know, I was saying I was talking to Sefri of the Wata Wellness
Okay.
the other day. I was saying how when you I don't practice yoga, or I've had attended sessions and all that, but there, you know, you can see how everything is like it's all about calmness and inner
peace,
peace
yeah.
and all
Yeah.
that. For theater, there's a part of it that becomes therapeutic, and a part of it is also knowing or having this process of like, before I can achieve that sort of peace or that sort of calm, is that I would be able to express and release, you know, the tensions, the emotions, you know, and all these feelings. And you become so open to whatever comes at you and to you. So ang among gi-promote ganhi is really the use of theater as
That's a kind of
w-
therapy, right?
of wellness. So
Okay.
I don't also like to use cigar therapy, but it is therapeutic, yes. So I'm hoping, or we're hoping that we can actually have a movement or a community wherein people would say that yes, actually, you know, like even doing improv, which we have ano de ay soon.
Not
So
not
it's
the
like
improv, really, like comedy improv.
we are offering a workshop.
Wow.
Nag-ambak-ambak na ko ani, which is going to be in March.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yes,
We're
but
all-
what I'm trying to
Super
say
busy.
is that there's so many aspects of theater that actually gears towards wellness. So
We're gonna maximize that.
for this, we have talks.
Tinood ba
We
na?
have
Tinood ba na siya? Tinood ba yun na nga, if there's an emotion that is unexpressed, it becomes a kind of tumor. It becomes it not necessarily a physical tumor, but it becomes like a
blockage.
like a kind of health risk.
doesn't it cause like
It causes something.
anxiety?
Tinood
It
ba na?
also
Just
cause
you're
diba,
the
mga-
psychology student or graduate here.
Yeah.
Kanang unexpressed emotion ba na kay kalagot, for example, dili mo ma-express na kay frustration, dili ka makasyagit, dili ka makasinggit or whatever. You can't express it through writing because you can't write and you can't sing. So maunsa man na siya kung mapuno na ka sa emotion ba na di gyud ka maka-express.
Yeah.
Does that become something?
Yeah, definitely. From my limited knowledge now, I do remember we have theories of like psychosomatic. So whatever you're feeling, your mental state greatly affects your physical state.
Okay.
And oftentimes repressed emotions and feelings, they manifest themselves in several illnesses.
Like for example,
So
what?
there's so many, like kana magkasakit ka when there's a high risk, high link of stress and flu symptoms. For
Flu
example.
symptoms,
Yeah.
okay.
And so
Kana
many
lang-
studies on that po. Even pag pandemic, kanang how COVID is kanang what is that? The symptoms are aggravated because of emotions and stress, anxiety.
Kanang for example, na kay problema niya, mangaut ka. I'm talking about
Oh, yeah.
a physical manifestation of a problem ba. Diba kanang na expression ng makapangaut mo sa tagapasigway katul, diba? So
You
na-
feel something is katul.
so
I'm like that
that's
too.
what happens when something like a stressor, you're in front of a stressor. So mangatul ka kay
Yeah.
muka ni, diba? Masigway katul, mangatul. So that's actually a physical
And
manifestation.
the arts are one of the best ways for it. So there's
So
physical exercise. There's
yeah.
so many other ways,
Yeah.
Paths to wellness.
Yeah.
But this one I find
Yeah,
is particularly unique.
Very interesting.
Theater, because
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it's a combination of everything.
Yeah.
So what best way to achieve your best self and really reach that potential by doing something like this?
But I'm curious, but when you say arts for wellness, is that what it's called?
Theater
For Wellness.
Festival. Yes.
Do you have like a kind of a psychologist or psychiatrist or somebody like that to help with the process of, because you're trying to achieve something here, and that is wellness, diba?
So this is going to be a 3-day
Okay.
event. So again, it's like most festivals. You will have talks, you would have workshops, you would have performances.
Wow.
And you would have related events, no, and including networking as well. So I think in terms of the resource speakers, we're also getting speakers who are good at what they do, who are experts in their fields. We will be making that announcement of the whole program. Kay, di ba, 3 days man ni siya. And I think what's nice is that we're also doing it here sa Tops.
Yeah.
So in a way, even if nagihapon ta sa syudad, malayo-layo ta sa city, it's
Sa
also
stressors.
yes, it also encouraged.
Yeah.
We're also inviting and expecting attendance, not just from Cebuanos, but also those from outside of the city and outside of the country. No, so ang atong gitanaw is ang attraction sad nga, of course, with Tops being an iconic landmark of Cebu. Plus, it really brings you this. You're in an
That
environment
serene and
nga.
peaceful vibe,
Yes.
that you get only here at Tops.
Yes, and it nature, you being
Nature
ground-
therapy.
That's also one. It's like you just have musuti ganitag back to basics, no? That's also means embracing nature and going back to Mother Earth, and just allow to be inspired by what's here.
Wow.
So you have that combination. You have the talks, you have the workshop, which is like you being able to apply
What you
something. Yes, the learning rather than just listening. And then you also witnessing performances
That
or
too.
being even like
A part of
being
them.
part of it. Yeah. So that's what we are trying to have this May here. So
Okay.
that's from May 16 to 18
Okay.
here at Tops.
One of the things to look forward to.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I
And
feel like
then-
you're so busy.
Mo
Like,
na,
you've got
actually-
event after event after event.
We have been very quiet actually since
Is this
end
a
of
personal a project for you that you're connecting theater and wellness, because you also want to distress from all of the artsy stuff that you have been doing? Does it stress you out? I'm sure it does, right? I mean, like, it's not
Here's
easy.
the thing.
Maybe the planning
Any-
for everything.
Oh no, I love that. I think I love that kind of stress. But the thing is, you can choose your stress.
Oh,
I can be
yeah.
stressed with something that I do not want or I do not like.
Yeah.
But doing something that you love, which is I feel that I have a privilege to be able to do that,
Yeah.
and because like if I were stressed because of a particular project, but it's like it's something that I love to do. I would rather spend time stressing over it than being stressed over something else.
You don't
like the Andy and Filmar.
Kana, mo good.
I think it's really about choice, right?
Yes.
I think really it is about choice. So if you choose a stressor, if you choose a this is what I love to tell my son all the time, especially when there's something hard that's going on with his life.
Yes.
Choose your hard. You know,
Correct.
It's really about choice, and I think whatever it is that you want to do, even though it's difficult, even though it's painful, but you chose it, and
Yeah.
just the act of choosing it becomes like a kind of it diffuses it's no longer as hard because you chose it, right?
You know, sometimes I would actually like with that in mind, because like anything, even if you love what you do, there will always be a time or a point wherein you'd probably get burnt out,
Yeah.
or you know, you start questioning yourself.
Ano
It's
gabuhat-buhat man ko ani?
Mao gyud.
Gapil man ko ani?
Wa man unta ko'y problema nganong ako
Why am I
man
giving
gi-
myself these
Ako man
problems,
gisudlan, no? And then you just have to pause and ask yourself on the other side, it's like, if dili ka ni, unsa may lain
Gosh,
sad.
that's so true.
Diba?
If I'm not going to be stressing about this particular thing that I am very privileged to.
It could be something else, right?
Yeah, it could be
Yeah.
something else. So what
Might
is
as-
that something else, Monday, that I would choose?
Might as well be this, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
problem lang with projects or any endeavor for that matter is na mga aspects sa trabaho nga dili nimo ganahan, right? For example, you don't like the paperwork, for example, right? And you're the idea person. You know, you like coming up with great ideas for stage plays or for musicals, but you don't like to do the paperwork. So you know what I mean? So
Yes.
even though you chose that hard, there's still some parts that you did not choose,
there will
right?
always be that
Yeah,
part.
so you
that-
either you hire expertise to
To
do
do
the
some-
thing that
for
you don't
you.
like for you, or you just grind it out.
That's why you collaborate with someone who there would be someone who would love to do the paperwork,
Yeah.
but not the planning.
yeah.
You know, and but they love, you know, working with your ideas and all that. And so when you collaborate with the right people, it's like everything just falls into place, and you know what your areas of expertise are, and you know how to respect each other's boundaries.
So ang buhaton din nila ni Filmar og ni Andy og ni Porellini is
So many projects ni ila.
mag-collaborate,
Pranilla.
mag-collaborate
They should
sila,
collaborate.
mag-collaborate sila, di ba? Right? Magsabot-sabot
I
sila.
don't know if it comes to a
Magsabot-sabot.
relationship, if
Pwede na.
collaboration is
Important.
if it's
I
romantic.
think that's just a word that we use, right? But I think the same principle applies. Mag-collaborate mo, meaning to say nga, unsa may di ganahan mo nako, nganong ma-insecure man ka kung magkuyog mi ani ni Perolini or whatever. her name-
Pernilla.
Pernilla.
But you know, Gigi said ba, when it's a discussion like that, no, and then it's your partner. Let's say ang mugawas ang anha is that, diba, the husband and the best friend are, diba, there's two of them, and then ikaw ra usa, and you'd be expressing all these mga imong feelings and all that,
Dali ka ma-invalidate.
and pwede, because the two of them would probably say, of course, that's not what we
Yeah, it's two
we
against
meant,
one.
and blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
Yeah.
So I think aside from like being able to discuss it, is also find a neutral ground. No,
What's a neutral ground? for example?
I think one is that you should be able to discuss it maybe openly, wherein
On the
ambot
radio?
lang.
On the air, maybe?
Social media.
Social media?
No?
Kung ganahan mo mag-apil-apil, ganahan mo choose your hard, kaninga topic ay medyo hard ni siya, lisod-lisod ni siya. Join us in our conversation at youtube.com/Tops Media Center. We're also on Facebook, Tops Media Center. Pwede na mo i-text na mo, naami text number diri. I-text akong inahan, no?
Jiggy, you know what would be perfect?
0962-746-3537. Let me repeat that. 0962-746-3537. I'm Jiggy Juice.
And I'm Justine Narvios.
And of course, we have two tin cans. Sarah Eklona here live in Klona, I should say, at 105.1 TMC. Our topic is it okay to have a best friend who is not your partner, your romantic relationship
Yeah.
with, right?
Yeah. You know how they should just settle it? They should just come up here sa Tops and join us at top of the morning.
Yeah, that sounds like a good
we
idea.
put them in one room and then
Yeah.
we as in arbiter ba?
Oh, kita na lang,
That'd be very
the
interesting.
public na
Kita
lang.
na lang invite nila.
The court of public opinion. Right? The court,
The court
of public opinion. Importante ka na sa
Most
nansa.
important, one of the
Yeah.
most powerful.
Yeah, in
courts.
fact,
Not important, but
in fact, a
powerful.
lot of people are scared to do the unpopular thing, right? Daghan kayo mga mahadlok diha nga especially kana mga politiko or even just regular people, right? Even just regular people.
And why is that? Because remember we talked about this, like we're in the business. Everyone's in the business of pleasing
Yeah.
people.
And
We want to do what's perceived as right.
yeah,
So.
it is a kind of a game for us that we want to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the
it's like a
winning aspect,
gamemanship. Murag atong gigamify everything. It's about winning. It's about like for example, like, even a relationship. It's about like who are we gonna spend more time with? Like, is there like a winner here? Like, does that mean that if you get married or you have a girlfriend and then you have a best friend that somebody has to win, somebody has to lose? But see, the thing is, it doesn't have to be like that. It
No.
doesn't have to be a
Isn't
winner
that
or a loser, right?
Isn't that why there's a win-win,
Yeah.
idea or
Yeah,
concept?
but ang point ni Justin, she brought up earlier was that we only have a finite amount of hours in this life, right?
Ano
And
po,
sometimes
resources.
so we need to prioritize, right? Because
That's true.
because
Scale
we
ba?
cannot spread ourselves thin, that we spend our times and invest our efforts in spending more time with our loved ones, and then spread out na kayo, wala yung mabilin maybe for yourself, right? For example, so you have to, I think, drop off a few of those things, right? I mean, it's got to be like that. Otherwise, you'll spread yourself too thin.
Yeah, that's true. I would really say, and I think Monang, the best relationship when it comes to friendships, no, are those who don't expect much.
Oh, that's
not
nice.
because they don't care about you. It's simply because they understand your situation and they understand growth, the idea of growth, the idea of.
Does that also apply to your romantic relationships? I mean, like, why should you expect so much also from the other person? Isn't it that you just love them for what they are, and do you have to expect anything from your romantic partner, for example? Can that also apply to the romantic relationship? Yes or no?
I think the biggest expectation there is to be loved back.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
you cannot be in a relationship if
Okay.
there's no love anymore.
Okay.
So that's one. And then everything that goes with love, respect,
Okay.
all these
So
things.
those are the expectations.
Yes.
If you're in a romantic relationship, right?
Those are the concepts for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, others would say when they say expectations, mo ana tag expectation, lahi ba ya ang ila? It's more
Exactly.
of a, mo ana ka, ang expectation ako is kay Valentine's karong Friday.
Okay na lang mag-dinner kita, di ba?
Oh, dapat ni book na ka og ka na.
Oh, concert,
some
palit ako
journey.
kinsa Arnel Pineda, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, kana, pwede na na.
Journey to
Oh.
the top, right? Right?
Exactly.
So, so those are a different kind of expectations. While if you also want it to be like that, if that makes you happy, kinsam say
Who's to
pwede mo.
say?
Yeah,
Yeah,
who's
who's to say,
to
like, that's
stop you
wrong?
from
But
from doing that?
line pagitag love languages, right? We
Correct.
have different
Too.
ways of expression, and we have different traumas also. Dati mga
Correct. The
insecurities,
experiences,
right?
yeah.
So lain bita, because like you were you for a long time, and she was her for a long time, and all of a sudden you decided to get together, right? And that sounds like a recipe for disaster in many ways, right? Nga murag different people coming together, right? So that's
But
why.
then fusion recipe is also nice.
Yeah. So that's
we
why.
know that it works, and we know that
Mo compromise ka,
Yeah.
di ba? There's a lot of compromise here.
Oh, that's
And I think mo siguro mag-suffer gid siguro na siguro, if you want to call it suffering, is maybe some of your friends, right? Because mahutda magamian na lagi imo ang panahon sa kalibutan.
Well, that's the nature
Right.
of compromise. You
Yeah.
can't have it all.
Yeah.
But I think depende sa situation sa imong friends. Like ako siguro yung mga best friends man good. They're also married. And they also have kids.
So
Okay.
they don't feel like they
So
lost you.
parehami. Parehami ka busy. Also, although siguro ako nauna ko no?
Nauna ka
But
kabisi
when
or sama?
but nauna ko ano. So, wait ha, naglibog ko. Well, my daughter is already like adults naman ni, no?
Okay,
Sila.
okay.
Ang iyaha.
I'm also an adult already.
Oh, thank you. Now, my one of my best friends, ang young kids are still grade schoolers.
Okay.
So lahi, and I totally understand that kind of situation. Mas nakakita na ko nga unsa ang iyang giagian kay naagian na nako. And I'm also like, I'm excited to see how she'll be like when she'll have teenagers na. So it's like that. So yeah, I'm dropping your name, Cheryl Ibay, Dr. Cheryl Ibay, my best friend.
Shout out.
Shout out yun tadayo.
I have a
Top of the
I have a
morning.
question of this tendency of us wanting our children to be just like us. Do you have the tendency also?
Oh my God, my daughter's downstairs.
Yeah,
you know?
I saw her earlier.
With my mom. I'll
Yeah.
see three
Because-
generations
because
coming
it,
here.
It may not be
Yes.
it may not be conscious, but we have a tendency to because this is the only way we know how to exist, to be us. Once we come in contact with another life, which is in this case our kids, we have a tendency to tell them what we know about, and then we are subliminally, unconsciously telling them to be like us, but not really. Dili conscious ng effort na to ba? How about you? Do you feel that in the forefront? Is it right in front of you? I want you to be just like me.
I think one of the things I try to do is to make sure that whatever her life choices are, especially when it comes to, let's say, now because she's 18, she's college na,
Okay.
that
niya,
she
kurso.
would not be forced to take something just because may nakita niya nako or may akong gusto or may gusto sa iyang
But do you ever tell
dad.
her what to take up? No.
No.
Yeah.
Of course, I try to influence the concepts of how to choose.
Okay.
No, I'm more of like, go for what you're good at. Go for what you think
strengths.
will make you happy, your strength, your passion, and all that. And you will learn that your child is not you, and she's a totally different person. And I love that about her because I learned so much from her. So again, another shout out. Hi, Shifra.
Hi.
She's listening.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
Yes. So,
You have to understand you grew up in a different world.
but
and
I think values ang siguro ang atong
you grew up,
ganahan.
you grew up in a different world, and then here she is in another world, in a new world,
Yes.
right? So you can never expect your children to be just like you because their experiences are different from your experiences. Their parents are not your parents; they're their grandparents, right?
You are their parent, and you don't know whether that's a good thing or bad.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
You're also just trying to
yeah.
navigate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
But I'm just scared of that tendency lang gid ba to mold them to be just like
Yeah, you're
us.
you're kind of particular about the.
You know when
Yeah.
he talks about
Yeah.
like kids and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that, you totally change.
Really?
It's like the sound, even the sound of your voice
Really? You think so?
changes.
You think so?
Yes.
Yeah, because I like just like many things in life, it's just always a work in progress, right? And you try to do well as best as you can, as humanly possible,
Yeah.
right? But I don't know, man.
I guess I don't really notice that
yeah.
he changes because
Yeah.
the first thing I've ever known Jiggy as is actually Von's dad, Gid. So
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Vaughn is my brother. My son. My
his
son.
Von
Oh,
was-
wow.
Von
you,
was my-
you're used to saying that. No.
Yeah, but yeah. So I've always known Jiggy as this. So
Yeah.
and I notice you're very particular about that. Like when he talks about it, he's always pushing for that. You can't let your kids be exactly like you. I don't really see. I never really thought of that. Like I don't really see anything wrong with that. I feel like on my end, I'd be so lucky if I were to be at least half of like what my parents are. Like I want to be like them. But I do understand to a certain point you have to recognize that your life will always be different. Their life is different.
What does that mean when you say half? Like you're making it sound like there's a whole to be half.
Oh, okay.
What does that mean?
Which half of
Yeah,
it?
like which half, right? Because
Yeah.
I think what you just did there is you quantified your parents, like they're this whole.
And then
And-
I'm trying to. I think what I'm trying to say lang
Because
is
all of us are unique,
Yeah.
and half of your parents is
not your whole.
is like receiving half of your dad, meaning to say only from the from the waist,
Waist
up,
up.
right? That's not your parent.
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
either you take them as a whole or
not.
there's no half of them,
Yeah,
right?
there are a lot of traits that I wish I could emulate and that I want to develop in myself that I definitely see in them.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with that, and I'm glad I was also raised in an environment that they never expected me to be exactly like me and my siblings, because they understand, and that's why I agree with Jiggy when he mentions that you'll never actually, you'll do
Yeah.
your best to. I think what our parents do is they do their best to try to teach us
What we know.
what they know, and
Yeah.
then eventually, like they're always telling me that my parents are always like, you know what, this is the most we can do. Later on, like you'll choose for yourself. There's
Yeah.
nothing we can do naman
Yeah.
good.
But I
in the
think
long run,
I think one of the things also, so that's from the child's point of view,
my
no?
point of view.
So that's from the child's point of view,
My
no?
point of view.
Now for us parents, I mean, I don't know with you,
Mm.
but I think that there are so many times when you actually ask yourself, or I ask myself, if I'm doing enough,
Mm-hmm.
or if the things that I'm giving or sharing, for her to become a good person is, are they enough? There's always that moment of feeling inadequate, inadequate, So you think na, because we don't really know what happens when they go to school. We don't know what happens when they're in their room,
yeah.
when they're on their own with friends and all that. You're not there, and they will always have that life that excludes you.
Yeah, exactly, right?
And it's painful
Yeah,
as a parent,
Yeah.
but that's actually true. Just
Yeah.
as they are excluded from certain parts of our lives. But the thing is, if
and we feel
Mm-hmm.
in the same way that a partner feels left out if that person has a best friend. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
similar to that if you think about it, that you're being left out from the life of your child because she's becoming her own person, and you feel ano wa mo ko kibawa na?
Yes.
I'm your mom, right? So because we have all these social expectations about what a parent and child is, right? So ngano wa man ko kibawa na nga anani man din idi, why didn't you tell me I'm your mom, right? So we have all these expectations, right? That they may not be met because they're becoming their own person, right?
Yes, and now, like now we're adults. You've mentioned about your mom being already
Yeah, she just texted me. She's asking me
80.
when are we going to the doctor. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
So my mom's also downstairs with
really
my
now?
daughter.
Okay.
Diba?
All three generations.
Yes,
here.
the three
Perfect.
generations are naagid me here.
Yeah.
She's still in her 60s.
Okay.
So she likes doing this. She likes taking photos and
Lad.
she likes going around. But when I was younger, my best friend like was my mom. It's like
Wow.
it's like everything I whatever I'd like to say, it would be with my mom.
Wow.
Even more than I can share with my best friends. Even. And then, of course, with life, you have your own family, you have your own work. And sometimes my mom would be asking me questions about what is the, she doesn't even know about the things I'm doing until she would probably see them, let's say, online or
post
maybe
na.
when, yeah.
My headline sa kanyang newspaper.
Or when my daughters probably mentioned it, or and sometimes, like right now, you're making me feel guilty, lang sad. Not that it's your fault. It's like I'm realizing, sometimes you just think na, these are things that I'm just going through this. It's like I don't really have to announce this. I don't have to share this. It's for me, maybe sometimes it's like work. But work is like part of our lives,
Yeah.
And when people want to know about, hey, what have you been up to? Like part of the things that we share is like what we've been doing at work.
Yeah.
And I think maybe I take that for granted. Nga, I don't really have to share that. It's
Which
like,
one? You work?
Yeah, like what I've been doing, what I've been up to.
So when
it's
they-
like
so when they ask
it's like
you-
because it's like it. Siguro for me,
In
it's
passing
like
ba?
that's kanang murag that's everyday but kana so dili kayo
There's something cathartic about things that we talk about when we talk about it, right? Something happens to the thing when we talk about it, right? Like for example, kana atong mga parental styles, kana our relationship with our parents. When I just said I'm gonna take my mom to the hospital, there's something. It becomes more real, I think.
because I think when you mention that
Yeah.
it's not just the words you're saying.
Yeah.
There's actually a feeling that comes with it.
Yeah.
You know,
You know.
and that's the feeling
Yeah.
that you can only have towards your mom.
Yeah, and but still, there's something happens to something when you talk about it. There's just something
Like what
happens.
exactly? What
Like
do you
something changes when you talk about it.
In you or like the way that you
in me,
feel?
like for example, you have an idea, you have a belief,
mean? It's different when you articulate
and then
it.
you believe in it, but you never actually talked about it. But then you actually utter it, and then you realize how much you don't know about it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we talked about before, the unread library effect, that you think you know something because it's so commonplace.
Until you actually talk about
and then
it.
you start talking about it.
Correct.
Like for example, parenting. Like we
Yes.
think that we are the law of the land because I'm your mom, I'm your dad. You have to follow me, and then you realize you talk about
Yeah,
it.
bro.
Yeah, and all of a sudden
Yes,
you talk
bro.
about it, and you realize how little control you have over your children, and you're not the law of the land, and you have no idea
Yes.
what they're doing in their bedrooms, in their cell phones, when they go to school, and it's like, wow, we don't know anything.
Yes. And I think that's the biggest revelation of
Yeah,
them
I know.
all.
I know.
Yeah.
We
We don't
know.
You don't know nothing.
anything.
Jon Snow, you know nothing.
Yeah, that's
yes.
true. I didn't even think about it that much.
Yeah.
Sometimes we take for granted, like when you're always with people,
Yeah.
with your family, you don't realize it. But nga, wait, yeah, there are times that we don't really get to,
And
know about stuff.
And I think one of my biggest fears is about parenting is that my child will know that I don't know.
I mean,
Because
why
it's,
is that so bad?
because your kids have this set of expectations about what you are because you're older. You're their mom, you're their dad, and you're not supposed to be
So you want-
to know more than them. But in many ways, I think I don't know. Also, and they live in a different world, and they will be living in a world, especially with the rate technology is improving now, that we will know nothing about as older souls, right, as older people. So it's going to be hard for us to teach them exactly. But you just need, for me, like the best thing that I can impart to them is just street smarts.
But is it the fear of them knowing that you don't know anything or everything? Or is it the fear of them feeling another kind of fear, knowing that you don't know everything?
Like they lose confidence in life, basically, because the person that they rely on,
It's
who
like
is
we
supposed
don't
to
have
knows
all
everything,
the
doesn't have the
answers.
answers.
Oh yeah, I probably.
But you know what?
That's part of that.
Yeah.
Part of that too, I guess.
But
yeah.
you know, I saw this post. No, obviously I'm not a parent.
Okay.
So
You have a fur baby, so you're a parent.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
of a
Paris,
chihuahua.
Paris. Okay.
A noisy chihuahua.
Okay.
So, but from my perspective, there's this post that I think I feel like as parents, you guys should definitely hear. It's a reminder to children. It's like, remember that it's your parents' first time on earth too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
as much as we
Correct.
expect our parents to know everything.
Not if you talk to the Hindus though, because this is
Yeah, I was gonna say there's also the reincarnation
That too.
and
So yeah.
Except for that.
Yeah.
But basically, they're also navigating through life, and there's so many posts about that. Pag nga, they were once like you. They were once faced with decisions that
Yeah.
you had to make. So, I think it's also a call to us kids that we should maybe be a little bit more kinder and like not judge so much and not. Expectations are always gonna be there.
Yeah.
But maybe the catharsis is also coming from the fact that when you say it out loud and others would then start sharing as well, and
What they
you'd
think.
realize that you're not alone. You're
Yeah.
not the only one who doesn't know everything.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm also a parent, and I know exactly
How it
you know
feels.
how it's like, and it's something that you know, no matter how like how many kids you may have, no matter how old you are, you know, no matter how successful you may be with your career, you know, and you can be a very important person, but they don't define the kind of parent that you're going to become. So success in
In life.
life does not equate to being a
Successful
successful
parenting.
parent. You know, you could be the worst,
It-
and
it- that-
and
it-
that's the
it's
fear of
possible
so
again based
many.
on the limited resources, finite resources conversation that we had earlier about allocating time to our loved ones. It's also possible that it's specifically because you're a successful businessman or whatever.
yeah.
You're not a successful parent because you spent
You're
more time
busy.
on one thing instead of this thing. But of course, both can be true also if you're just able to divide your time fairly, right?
But
Time and
what is
resources.
fair?
That's also the question. What is
Yes.
fair?
And
my
what
God?
and what is success
Yeah.
too, right? Like, how do you
Yes.
know if whatever it is that you're
Yes.
doing is enough?
You know, for
I-
others, joy is equal to no, success is equal to joy
Yeah.
or happiness. You know, others would equate it to your net worth. You know, there's so many ways
Measure.
to
in other
measure
in other
them.
words, we don't know.
measure life in love.
It's 265 minutes, seasons
Yes.
of love,
Is that
right?
the song?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So in
Yes.
other words, we don't know. We don't know. It really depends. And I think one of the for me, if I had to teach my kids one thing aside from being street smart,
What's that?
is be comfortable with not knowing.
Yes.
I think that's
That's a very
yeah,
good
you have to be
advice.
because you don't have to know everything. You don't know everything. You know, just let that thing be, and you know, time will tell whether you know more about that thing or not,
Oh
right?
my gosh, yeah. I think I know what you mean. Because there
Yeah.
are sometimes I do ask my parents some questions that di ko mahimutang if I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
Like, so, but what if it doesn't work out? What if,
Yeah.
and literally, there are times that they would literally also just tell me that nga, sometimes there's no answer now.
Yeah.
Like, you
But you see, we've been there, and I'm sure that we were asking those questions.
you want answers so bad. So you're like, but,
But you see, we were also given the same like answers that we would be
from your
giving
parents.
now,
Oh.
and it's like everything will be fine. You know, you just have to.
But that's a
to-
lie, though. That's a lie.
Everything will be fine?
That's one of the biggest lies we ever tell everyone.
So
Everything's
what's the truth? Then?
everything's
Depends on what you mean by
you know,
fine.
yeah. But what I mean is everything's not gonna be fine.
That I agree.
Not
but at
may-
the same time,
so-
everything can also be fine.
No. What I
Can
mean
they
is
coexist?
some things can be fine, but not everything can be fine. And I think we should stop that and remove that
you
from
think
our
that's
lingo.
that's a toxic mindset when like
No, that
You know what? That's actually nice.
Yeah.
That's actually That
Yeah.
made me stop also
Yeah.
and think.
Yeah.
But could it be the rewarding as well? It could be said instead of saying everything will be fine, it could be like in the end everything will be fine. Is that it? But we're not really sure.
We don't
That's
know.
not also.
We
It's
don't-
like a
that's
promise.
That's
I
another
think
lie.
the more
Yeah.
realistic, if you were to be like very realistic, although it sounds negative, is everything is not fine, but like you should be fine. Like, that's the realistic.
But
way
then
of
would
saying
you
it, diba?
actually want to say that to your
Yeah.
kid?
That yeah, that's the thing.
Yes.
Eh,
For
imagine somebody
example,
giving you that advice.
For example, for me, you know, I've been through divorce and I'm happily married now.
Okay,
But
congratulations.
would I would I actually tell
Say that.
let's say someone who's like just gotten married, you know, would I actually say
Everything will be fine.
you know, like if ever you get divorced, it will be fine. We don't look at that.
We don't
we
know.
try to be
Yeah.
very hopeful,
don't know.
and we've tried to be very optimistic about things. And I think that it's always when we look at the bright side, it just makes things easier. Whether it's a denial thing, or it's a coping mechanism,
Yeah.
I
Being
guess.
delulu
You know,
helps
it's
Yeah.
somehow.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
To a
so.
certain extent,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, especially when someone believes that they're so beautiful, you know, that's what they radiate. They will always think that they're
How-
beautiful.
how about
no,
this?
no one can put them down.
How
No one
about,
can say
how about
otherwise.
this? Instead of saying everything will be fine or some things will
Yeah,
be fine,
what's a
how
good-
about saying have fun? Just make sure you have fun. Whatever it is, whatever it is you're gonna do, you make sure you have fun.
okay.
Make sure you have fun. You make sure you enjoy it. You know,
Yeah.
like for example, even if it's pain, even if it's suffering, you have fun with it. You know, we were talking about it earlier, right? Even a heartbreak means that you fell in love deeply, and that's a good thing too to have
Yes,
heartbreak.
that's
right?
true. You will always learn something.
Yeah, even disease and even death meant that you were alive and you were healthy once, and that's why you can enjoy being unhealthy. Or you can enjoy dying because you lived and because you were healthy. You know,
Yes.
just enjoy it because, like, there's another way of looking at it, and not to enjoy it. And I think you have to enjoy it. You have to
Yeah.
have fun with it, right?
Yeah. So maybe not just focus na lang on whether it'll be fine or not.
Yeah.
Just you have no choice.
And
just
then fun, maybe aside from the fun, or in the end,
It sounds hedonistic.
It's
Uh,
more.
but it's
be grateful.
yeah,
That too.
that's probably it.
Yeah.
more than
Just
fun is be grateful.
Grateful for the
Very
good
important.
times and the bad times, and all that you've learned
Yeah.
from them, the people you've met, the pain that made the joy
Better,
even
yeah.
worth it, or
More joyful,
better.
yeah.
Yes. So
But,
I don't know.
uh,
Wag gyud sakto nga tubagan hinga. Usara ka sakto nga tubag.
oh,
Maura
There's
gyud
no
na.
one perspective.
Mo lagi na akong pasabot lagi nga ang atong mga bata, atong mga kids, the younger generation will realize this guy doesn't know anything too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they are hopefully a kind of role models for our kids, right? And what kind of role model is this that doesn't know a lot of things, right?
But maybe a role model who admits to not knowing a lot of things is being able to show humility and
Exactly.
honesty.
So I guess that
there
You know,
you
and
so
those are
that's the lesson,
good
right?
values.
Yeah, that's the lesson. Okay, anyway.
I love that.
Ang ano abot nta di Filmar man ta to og si Andy atong istorya og katong the girl from Sweden who surfs
yeah,
and
yeah.
we still can't pronounce her name. But nagbalik naman
Parang-
nagbalik naman sila sa kita katong
I have not actually like read up on them.
They
so
actually I saw a video of them actually having dinner somewhere.
Oh.
Si Phil Mark, si Andy
it's
and
not an old video ka.
I have no idea, but
sad.
like I really feel like we're being played. Like, I swear, man. Because-
Nevertheless, those
but-
are important things to talk about. Not the issue, but the underlying message.
But why would Andy, who's a big time star actress in Manila, go all the way to Siargao to do whatever it is that she's doing and not expect anything from it? I'm
You're having your kanang ano theory.
yeah,
sabi
theories.
nga.
So I think this is really just a game that they're playing to get more traction, to get more attention, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And
Either way, we can either choose to be kanang oblivious and like be dolls and
Yeah.
be played with and
Yeah.
then just believe everything, or we can choose to like just and be entertained and
Yeah.
learn from it.
having fun with it, right?
Yeah, that's
Having
what we're
fun with
doing
it.
right now, guys. Chika about it.
Unless we're in their circle, we'll never
patay
know
sila.
really.
Oo.
Unsay tinuod.
Mo lagi
the
pero
real-
more pero mo
No.
makaduda gid lagi nga kuan din siya kaning mura
Conspiracy
mura siya og
theory.
naa sila agency dito ba nga.
What
Yeah.
if ba?
Kaya ang produkto gud
Pwede
sila
sa jud.
pwede ang produkto sila gud, di ba? And but I'm curious ba, this happens all the time in Hollywood nga maghimo-himog storya ba. Diri sa Cebu ba? Murag even sa Philippines murag di kay ta maayo na sa. Di kay ta mo maayo mo ikaw nami ka sa arts. Di ta maayo mo orchestrate og drama ba? Nga
Tinuoray nga drama.
drama siya in the sense to promote something ba? You know what I mean? Like magdrama ka, for example, I don't know, like say missing. I'm just gonna give you an example, nga random. Let's just say si Insoy kaning na tukan ikaw nagbalot. For example, for example na ba?
Yeah.
Pag ipakihan niya ang naghimog balot, for example,
Aha.
so he's in the headlines. You know, something like that ba? Engineer something.
You just gave
I'm sure there are those
You just
ba
gave
who
them
do
an idea.
that.
But that's a really bad idea, by the way. But
for promotion of the event.
ang akong pasabot, but we don't do that as often as I think we should.
Or maybe we're just unaware.
we just don't know. Kanang mga political stories karon, you don't know. Maybe half of it is drama, right?
Kana mas ano ko ana nga usahay maglibog ko unsay tinuod. So
Lagi.
I would rather
But ikaw, have you ever been employed? Have you ever had a contract or somebody without naming any names? Nga, can you make a story about this particular this thing happening and so that
No.
wala gid?
I think there are those who thrive in that kind of environment, and I don't. Diba? If you remember, we're quite into our advocacy,
Which is?
and you know we're artivism, so
Yeah.
we always. I would probably say that it's just against our principle to just be making up stories just for the sake of traction and clout and all that. And maybe that's where we're wrong because with everything that's happening online, people earn so much money
works.
just because of views
Yeah.
and
But-
all
but
that. So they'd like to do that.
But you can also create drama and make up stories for the better to make.
Well, we do that on stage.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that with people's lives and
That's
you
why they
know
inspire
at
through their art.
Yeah, that's why we have our stories on stage and
Influence through the art and not influence through
and-
lies and
yes,
deceit and
yeah. Mao lang na. I mean, there are those who would I think naagyo tay kanya-kanyang role nganhi sa kalibutan.
Okay.
Dili na ako ang role. So naay mga tao nga
Someone
maayo
also do
kayo
it.
nganhan.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're doing a service. So Jiggy, you make it sound like doing that is such a service, no?
Which one? Which one?
Like,
Entertainment.
fabricating for
No,
you make it sound like it's really like a utility.
If ultimate good comes of it, then I think we should do it. You know, like if ultimately it makes the world a better place, why not create some drama? You're in that field anyway. You're in the business of fooling people in many ways. You're fooling them that this thing is real, but it's not. You know what I mean? I'm not.
I will
Yeah.
disagree,
Yeah.
but you're allowed to just say it.
Yeah.
I get what
Yeah.
you mean.
You're-
It's just that we choose words differently.
Yeah, I know. But and I know I know it may be not the best word to use it.
Yeah.
But you're in the business of pretend. You're pretending to feel a certain way. That's called acting, right? That's called acting.
Well, truthful acting is not pretending. It's really believing in
Truthful
making
acting
Yes.
is not pretending.
So
It's
you're
really
using
believing.
real emotions,
Okay.
diba?
Yeah.
But I get why
Yeah.
people always say, "Oh, let's pretend," because you're actually a different, a different person rather other than yourself when
Okay.
you're on stage.
Okay.
You're portraying the role and
Somebody-
all that. But what we're trying to say is actually ang imong nakitaan nga tinuuray na nga pagbati
Oh,
the
okay.
emotions that
the,
are
the
flowing
emotions
there.
are real, right?
Yes, and that person become real.
Mm.
Now, I think if you're saying about come up with a story, nga if it's for the common good,
Mm.
I would probably then have to ask, does the end justify the means?
Yeah.
Does the end justify the means?
So and then I don't know exactly unsa gyud nga idea ang imong gi
I have
share
one.
ka na.
I have one idea.
Mhm.
All the billionaires of the world, because we can never be united as a people, as a species, as a human being, as human beings. All the billionaires of the world come together and they put all the money in the world to simulate an alien invasion. So the world
To scare everyone.
to scare everyone.
Para mapugos
So we
kita.
will be united as a people. How about
Oh,
that?
wala na, Jiggy.
What do you think of that?
That's not gonna happen. What if magkasamot, not
Magkagubot?
even to fight
Magkagubot na
aliens. Like, what if some of
hinoon?
them will side with the alien?
Oh no!
We reveal our
Bad
true,
idea. A bad idea then.
So okay, now I get what you're trying to do. But yeah, it would be more of I don't know. I think that
a service instead of a service. Like, you feel like it would do more harm than
if it
good.
would if it would influence people to help, for example, and all that, I think my question would then be, then why do we have to
resort to that.
why do we have to come up with
I feel like
creating
Because
a
there are certain
story?
things that human beings have a tendency to believe in, right?
Gravitate
We
more to.
believe in, we believe in nice stories. It has to be a short story so that you'll have a beginning and an ending. We like things that we can grasp, and if it's ungraspable, we don't gravitate to
But
that.
then we don't have to really make it sound like what's the term? We don't have to turn it into something na tinuod ko nuhay, no? It can be just a simple campaign instead, and people will know
Because we
it's,
thought that the pandemic was a unifying factor, and it wasn't, right? So I feel like
You thought.
I thought it was, but it divided us even more. But an alien invasion, hello,
Yeah.
an alien
So
invasion.
that's in the perspective of a negative thing uniting people. But I
Yeah.
think what they're
Okay.
trying to do, especially in Two Tin Cans, is the opposite. No, their advocacy is more on a positive thing, using art to unite people. So not that people are united in suffering, but they're united in
but we also
including that too. That
well, we also want people to leave the theater questioning.
Yeah,
You know,
I like to be blown away. I'd like to
Yeah.
be out. That's really
we don't
what I
have
want.
to spoon feed you with, but we hope that you got the good messages, as well as the
I
bad.
actually have a lot of. I have a very high expectations when I watch a movie. I have very
Yeah.
high expectations when I watch a play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to be changed. Seriously, I mean that. I don't mean that to be bombastic or anything like that. But I just feel like I need to come out of the experience like a changed person. Like a
And I think
different
that's
person.
the power of theater.
Yeah.
And then we would probably say, movies have a really good way of reaching to people. It can be watched over and over.
Yeah.
And it's also a really good experience. The difference with theater is that live na aspect of it, wherein it's right in front of you. It's real people like moving. Not saying that ang movies dili. What we're trying to say is the actors themselves are there, and it's not going to be ever the same performance. Even if ikapila na nila
It'll never be
balik-balikon.
the same.
Yeah,
I didn't think of
because
that.
every time it's a new
Experience, a new show.
experience, and I think that's why we use the word no na kanang transformational. A theater experience is supposed to be transformational.
For the actor or for the audience?
Both.
Oh, well,
Dapat.
for both,
Okay.
yes. You as an actor having to study this character and even that experience of performing it in front of a live audience, that would change
That's the beauty
you.
of performing arts in itself, no? Okay. I
Then
didn't
while
think of that.
audience, you're listening, but you get involved and you get invested in the story, and you have to follow. And if it's a musical, of course, there's the music, the tune, there's the dances, and it really depends. But the thing is, that's why it's also very important to choose the right materials. It's because maumanggo na ang ma-receive sa imong
audience.
audience. So when we choose materials, we always ask also, it's like, is this the one that we would like to share to Cebu? So muna siya. There.
Yeah.
So
So we've got so much to look forward to.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Tutin Cats, you're gonna have a busy year ahead.
yes. Oh,
And
we-
for all
we
those
have-
updates, all we have to
business
do
that
is
you
look into
chose.
Two Tin Cans on Facebook, right?
Yeah, Student Cans Philippines Incorporated.
Philippines Incorporated, right.
Yes. So, and then for our website, that's studentcans.ph.
Okay. And all our
Yes.
upcoming events are gonna be announced there. So stay tuned, guys.
And we're
Yeah.
gonna have her very often. We're gonna make her a fixture
Yes.
because I love her
So-
inputs on Philmar and Andy best.
Oh my
friend.
More like issues in the future will involve.
We'll talk
Hi.
about love and the arts. What could be better, right?
Yeah.
Love and art.
Perfect pairing.
Right?
As you said, there's no what's this? There's always art and heart. So there's no
Oh, there's
no-
always
you can't-
without
and
art.
You can't spell heart without art. And please, show your support to twotincans.ph. It's a website, right?
yes.
the
You
nu-
can follow us on Facebook and
The number
Instagram.
twotincans.ph is on Facebook and on Instagram as well.
Yes.
And if I want to be able to experience a stage play in the coming days, is there like a play that you're coming up this Feb, March, April?
We will be coming. This one, pag yun na announce
Oh,
it
yeah.
daw.
Just
No?
mga exclusive ni Poros.
Grabe.
Yeah, you heard it first.
Yes.
The Missing Philemon stage play is coming up very soon.
So then
Next year?
that would be next year. Our next biggest production is actually going to be performed by our students from Tutincans Theater Lab and
Okay.
our theater company members of Tutincans Theater Company, which is going to be the musical version, the Andrew Lloyd Webber version of School of Rock.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, the Jack Black film.
Yeah, so
Wow.
it's
I
based
love
on
that.
film, and then there's a musical with that. Very close to the film, in fact, but this time it's Andrew Lloyd Webber's material.
When is this? When?
So
When and where?
ang when and where we'll make the announcement very soon. In fact, this week.
Okay.
But yes, letting you know that it's happening.
Like
Oh, I'm
for
excited for that.
for two tin cans, how many stage plays do you stage in a year?
I think it's sometimes no kay kanang we plan to have very limited lang and then things happen.
Yeah, okay. But
So
like last year, how many did you do?
So last year we did 5 titles.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we had at the beginning of the year we had Susical.
Susical.
Like Dr.
Yes.
Seuss?
Dr. Seuss.
Okay.
Yes.
okay.
So
Borax and
correct. So you very know you know that very well.
Susical.
So there's Susical, and then we did hala nakalimot ako. Pabalik lang ko. I think so we started with there's Stage Door was our last production last year. Akong i-open ang akong pictures ay para maka-remember ko. So yeah, we did also the Vagina Monologues,
Okay.
and then
Like a feminist movement, perhaps?
yeah, so
Okay.
we do that every year. Then there was also the play The Callback.
Mm.
Yes, and I'm sure I'm oh my god, I forgot. We did Bots musical and Frankie loves Android builds Android. So these two were performed.
Are those original titles?
Yes, they're we got the license from Beat by Beat.
Okay.
So we have the two musicals. They were performed by our musical theater students. So Bots were performed by our kids, and then the Frankie Builds Androids were performed by the adults.
I'm curious about when you say students, when you say kids, because there are a lot of stage plays that are students of a particular school, right? And
so for us,
like a student,
yes.
like for example,
student
Para of
body.
Springdale has a stage
Yeah,
play
yes.
and stuff like that.
I'm glad schools do that.
Yeah,
actually.
that's a good thing. But my question here is that is because there's a perception of kind of a amateurish, like this is a bunch of students just staging a play because it's a requirement for a subject, for example, right? Or a kind of culmination for a class, right, or something like that.
Yes.
So when you say kids, these are quote unquote professional kids, right? These are kids that are really trained to do this thing. They're not just
So
students, right?
They are students at Two Tin Cans Theater Shop.
Okay.
So that's a program.
Okay.
And then after that, they have rehearsals and then they have their production.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time, their performances would be with some members of our Two Tin Cans Theater Company, which means that they also get to work in that professional environment. And we let them really. So the workshop is where you have the fun. You have all the fun. You try to learn using fun. Rehearsals is where it becomes more serious because you have to make sure you memorize your lines, make sure that you're on time, you make sure that you are able to remember your choreography, you know your songs. But then when we go to the performance, we mix both.
The fun and making use of what you learned, the
and
technicalities.
yes, and
thereof.
being serious about it because you know everything and you've everything meaning you've rehearsed well. You know
supposedly.
your songs, your cues, your dances. You will be having fun. And that's the kind of lesson that we're trying to teach to our kids. So kids, we're saying kids, those who are really under 18. So they take musical theater with us, but we also offer musical theater for adults. So we have those students who are already working or in college. Some of them are now able to decide on their own that they would like to pursue theater, for example, or just experience it because it was something that they wanted to do when they were kids but didn't get the chance to do.
But we do have professional stage actors and actresses that are Cebu based who are actually making a living off of stage
I
acting,
think
right?
for us right now, we many of our theater company members, we still
Want them to be able to do this one full time, and the only way they can do it full time is for you guys to give them your full support. And how do you support the local arts? You watch their plays, right? You attend their events. You like their Facebook pages. That's how you can show your support. So dili na sila magtrabaho padiglain kay
Ideally.
because I'm sure most of these people would rather do this one full time,
for
but
sure.
they just can't, right?
Well, yes, but I think that others are still in other creative jobs, So this is their performing aspect of the creative industry. But many of them are still in the creative industry.
Yeah.
So whether they're doing, let's say, graphic arts or animation or things like that, we have them as
No,
well.
but we want them to do full time acting.
It would be nice. It would be very ideal. I
So-
would hope that
so they
in
can
the very near
even get better
future
and
that
better,
would
right?
happen.
Because I think whatever the arts is of a particular city, a particular country, is a reflection of what that city is, right? And what we are as a people. And I think instead of consuming art from abroad or consuming art from the West, consuming art from wherever, which is a good thing, but not necessarily all of that is good. Coming up with something from within is also a beauty, to show the world this is what we're
This is what
all
we
about.
got.
This is what we are. This is who we are.
Yes.
As a Filipino, as a Cebuano, right? I think that's also a beautiful thing, right?
Yes, and I think that our love for like international music or arts, that also fuels our want for desire
own.
to be really good at what we do here in Cebu and in the Philippines. So the support is really something that we would hope from our people. I mean, you know, if music changes your life, and all the experiences that you've had with different kinds of arts, performing arts, yes, support by buying a ticket whenever you can and whenever you find something that interests you. If it's something that doesn't seem to interest you, maybe get curious and
Right.
see if it's something for you. Basically, just add theater and other arts related events in your calendar.
Yeah,
Make it like make it like a lifestyle. It's like you have to watch a play at least once every so often. You know that you have to be there, you have to experience that. It's like feeding your soul. It's
Feeding your
really
soul.
yes, it's you know how we try to feed our minds, our bodies, and all that. So our soul also needs that, you know.
Okay.
It's true.
All right.
So come feed your souls, guys, and check
Two,
out
two
Tin
tin cans.ph or two tin cans, the number two tin cans
Yes.
on Facebook.
on
But
Facebook.
basin makalimot niya ko.
Ayaw kalimutan to.
Yes.
Okay.
So our very first workshop will be here in Tops
Okay.
on March 29 to 30 for the year. This is improv with Carl Jinko. So Carl Jinko is from Zamboanga but Manila based, and he does improv, you know, training and acting. So that would be March 29 to 30. There would be two groups actually. One is we call them like improv for everyone, because we believe that art is for everyone. So this is like for anyone,
want to
different
join.
backgrounds. You don't have to be an actor. You know, you can be a beginner. Maybe you have zero experience, and this can be good for you. Now, the second one is the special improv for actors. That would be, of course, you need to take the first session, and then you should have already an experience in performing arts.
Okay.
So to know more about that, Moto, just check out our page, and there would be instructions there on how to sign up. Kana siya.
Okay. So check out the
It's
Facebook
also
page,
there
guys.
in your Facebook
Website.
page, right? The
Yes,
website,
and the website. Yes.
yeah. Okay, man.
Exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So much to look forward to.
I feel like I've like a year's worth of conversations today. Yeah.
That's because they have a year's worth of events. That's
Yeah,
the
I
thing.
know, right?
Oh.
And
There's so much to look
yesterday
forward
we
to.
were talking about Jude Gitamundok's stage play, which is called
Hopeless Romantics Incorporated. I
and-
finally got the title.
Yeah,
right.
so if you think about it, grabe yan, so like there's so many
There's so
stage
much-
There's
plays.
so
There
many things.
are.
So there's
People
so
just
many
need to-
groups.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. The more the more groups there are here in Cebu. I'm hoping that the more it becomes like part of us. Now, you know, theater. I'll go to the theater. Kana siya.
Becomes a norm.
It's like, oh, let's see each other on Saturday. Shall we meet before
yeah.
before
The
watching
stage
this
play.
play? Yeah.
Missing
Or-
Philemon or the vagina monologues or whatever.
Or I
right?
can just call you, you know, like
there's a
I
party
bought the tickets
Yeah,
na.
yeah. Just like
Like-
watching the movies, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's so difficult to because the experience of being at home watching Netflix and all of that stuff.
Yes, that's also a different kind of experience.
That is tough to beat, right? So I think
no.
The comfort
the
and all
comfort
that.
of the home and all that stuff. But watching actual people, you know, duking it and acting out on stage, and you know, being with community, being with friends, is also totally a completely different experience. Because kind of movie watching behavior has really gone down because of Netflix, right?
Netflix.
Because of subscription business models, right?
Yes, that's true.
So I think we need to be able to
Fuel that again.
fuel that again, and I think
We can.
ang kanang movie siguro similar sa experience mo sa Netflix balay, pero kanang stage play, that's a whole new beast, man. That's
It's a
not
new
even
ball
close
yeah.
to that. So I think you probably have the advantage over movies because this is different. These are real people acting in front of you. right? So I think
And I think it's also with the actors themselves. It's a different experience for them to actually be able to, to do that in front of a crowd, whether big or small. It's diba, the catharsis of being able to portray a role. So as long as there are those who would like to express themselves through performing arts and theater, there will always be supporters because we are a community, and whenever we have people who do like when we're doing theater or when we have a performer or a singer and all that, mo adto baya gyud ta, maminaw ta, mo tan-aw ta, mo suporta ta. No, whether nakasabot ta or wala, usahay ang just showing up is a
exactly.
way of like supporting.
Yeah. You don't actually have to like it. This is what I was telling Justin before. You don't have to like it. I mean, like love should not be conditional. Like if you want to support. And then sometimes some good art, especially stage plays, it's a kind of a acquired taste. It takes time for you to develop because you're so used to watching movies, for example, or watching TV, and lahat mang dynamics of TV or movies, right? A stage play is a totally different, completely different thing because, like you said, everything, every day, every stage play is different from before, right? And different actors and all of that stuff, and the experience is different. Murag naagis tubangan mo ang tao, di ba? So yeah, it probably takes time. So it's just a matter of time to go on this whole thing becomes like
effort and time,
like
to really
a real
feed
industry.
Your soul.
So we're just don't be a stranger. Sarah, we're always here.
Yes,
you know,
well, I'm
there's something you wanna
really
promote.
thankful.
And if we want to talk about relationships and love,
Please help us.
We'll call you. We'll let you know.
Oh my
It
God!
doesn't have to be live if you can't make it here physically because this is a mountain like Sisyphus pushing the rock. You can always go Facebook Live, right?
Yes.
So we can do that
Yes.
too.
Or YouTube Live.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Sarah.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Justin
you so
and
much.
Jiggy.
Thank you for
Of,
joining us.
2tincans.ph. Please visit their site right now, their Facebook page, so we can show them our full support of the arts here as we celebrate, of course, Arts
Month.
for the entire month of February. Sarah May Inclona, daghang salamat.
Thank
Daghang
you.
salamat sa kayo.
And I'll catch you guys tomorrow for Top of the Morning. I'm Jiggy Juice.
And my name is Justine Narvias.
And of course,
Sarah Henderson and Glonna Henderson.
Okay.
Hindi kayo naglibog na ta.
and you've been listening to Top of the Morning.
Yes.
I'll catch you again
tomorrow.
Thank
Bye,
you, guys.
guys. Take care.
Bye.